We all know that life gets loud, like your brain won't shut up even at 3 a.m. But have you ever wondered why some people stay calm even when everything around them is falling apart? Like losing a job, a relationship, or even their whole plan for life in 1 week. What do they know that we don't? In today's video, we'll talk about finding calm through the Buddha's timeless wisdom. So let's not waste any time and let's begin. Take a slow inhale, like you're tasting the night air for the first time. Notice how the breath rises, how it fills, how it leaves, quietly, without asking for permission. This is where the Buddha began, not in temples, not in theories, but in the basic rhythm of being alive. The breath is the one thing that has stayed with you since the beginning. It never left you, even on days when everything else did. Let yourself settle into that. No pressure, no, I need to do this perfectly. Just breath moving in and breath moving out. The world tends to throw expectations at us. Be faster, be tougher, be better, be more. But right now, none of that exists. You're stepping into a moment the Buddha understood deeply. That peace isn't something you chase. It's something you uncover. And it usually begins with noticing what was already here. Feel your shoulders loosen, even if just by a millimeter. Feel your jaw unclench. Feel the space behind your eyes soften like warm dusk. As you breathe, imagine yourself sitting beneath a vast fig tree, the Bodhi tree, just like Siddhartha did before he awakened. Not as a holy figure, not as a legend, but as a person who finally sat down and said, "No more running." He wasn't seeking perfection, he was seeking truth. And truth, it turns out, is quiet. You sit beneath that tree, now in your mind. The roots press into the earth. The branches spread like open arms. The leaves shimmer with a faint silvery glow. The air is still. You feel the ground supporting you fully, like the earth is saying, "Hey, you're safe here." Your breath deepens naturally. Not because you force it, but because your body realizes it doesn't have to be on guard right now. Inhale, exhale. The rhythm becomes familiar, like hearing your own name whispered kindly. The Buddha taught that the breath is a doorway. When we pay attention to it, we step into a place inside us that's been ignored, a place that's calm, grounded, and real, a place untouched by stress, noise, or the messy thoughts that spiral at 3 a.m. Every inhale clears a little fog. Every exhale lets something heavy slip away. As you breathe, thoughts might still pop up. Little worries, memories, random nonsense. Don't fight them. The Buddha noticed this too. The mind loves to wander. It's literally built that way. So instead of getting annoyed, just observe them like you're watching butterflies pass through a garden. They appear, flutter, and drift off. No need to grab them. No need to judge them. Your breath stays steady, a soft anchor keeping you here. Feel how your chest rises with a gentle confidence. Feel how the air cools your nostrils on the way in and warms slightly on the way out. Feel how each breath knits you a little closer to the present moment. This is the first step on the path. Awareness. Simple, quiet, transformative. You might notice your breath getting smoother, almost silky. The longer you sit with it, the less effort it takes. You start to sense that the stillness you're feeling isn't out there. It's inside you. The Buddha didn't invent stillness. He just remembered it, the same way you are remembering it now. Let your breath become spacious, like it's opening a door in your chest. Feel the small release in your belly, the softening of your neck. Your whole body begins to speak one language, ease. Imagine now that each inhale draws in a subtle, warm light. Nothing flashy, just a faint golden glow. And each exhale releases the dust of the day, tension, annoyance, self-doubt, whatever has been clinging quietly to your ribs. With every breath, you feel a little lighter, like you're slowly untying knots you didn't realize were there. There's a moment, maybe right now, when the breath stops feeling like something you're doing and starts feeling like something you're experiencing, like waves rolling in and out on a beach at night. You're not controlling it, you're not performing, you're just here. The Buddha realized that peace begins exactly like this, not with effort, but with noticing, not with intensity, but with presence. And now that your breath has steadied, now that your body has softened, the next step begins to reveal itself. Because once you can sit with your breath, the next teaching naturally unfolds. Learning how to observe your own mind. You don't have to rush there. You're already drifting toward it. Picture yourself sitting by a slow-moving river at dusk. The sky is washed in soft lavender, and the water reflects every shade of fading light. The air is quiet, like it's holding its breath just for you. This river isn't outside of you. It's your mind. And every thought you've ever had, every worry, every random memory, every weird mental detour, they all drift along its surface like leaves carried by the current. The Buddha taught that the mind is always moving. Thoughts rise and fall, appear and dissolve. The mistake we make, the thing that stresses us out, tangles us up, keeps us restless, is thinking we have to chase every leaf we see. But tonight, you're doing something different. You're just sitting on the riverbank, watching. You don't have to grab anything. You don't have to sort anything. You don't have to judge anything. Just notice. A thought appears. Maybe it's something from today. Maybe it's something old. Maybe it's something meaningless, like a song lyric or an unfinished to-do list. See it as a leaf. It floats by, carried effortlessly by the current. No matter what the leaf looks like, the river keeps flowing. Another thought comes. Another leaf floating along. Some might drift slowly, like they're taking their time. Others might zip by fast, but they all pass. None of them stay. None of them get stuck, unless you wade in and grab them. The Buddha observed the same thing under the Bodhi tree, that the mind isn't a problem to fix. It's a movement to witness, a process, not a punishment. Let yourself settle into this perspective. You're not in the river. You're not drowning in thoughts. You're not fighting the current. You're the one watching from the shore. Feel how that subtle shift changes things. When you stop identifying with every thought, something inside you loosens. That little tightness in your chest, it fades. That pressure in your forehead, it eases. The body reflects what the mind believes. And when the mind sees thoughts as temporary, the body stops reacting like they're threats. Notice how a big, stressful thought might float by now. Something heavy, something emotional. But you're not jumping into the water. You're observing it with the same calm you would use to watch a leaf carried downstream. It appears. It exists. It drifts. It's gone. You didn't fight it, and somehow it passed even faster. This is the heart of mindful observation. You're not ignoring your thoughts. That's impossible. You're not suppressing them. That only makes them louder. You're just letting them be what they naturally are. Temporary. Even the loud ones. Even the messy ones. Even the ones that shake you in the middle of the night. None of them last. The river keeps flowing. Look again at the water. See how it glides around rocks without resisting. How it adjusts without complaint. How it continues its path with quiet confidence. The Buddha often used nature to explain the mind because nature doesn't complicate itself. It just is. And you're learning to just be too. You might notice thoughts slowing down a little, like the river entering a calmer stretch. The ripples smooth out. The leaves drift lazily, almost peacefully. The more you observe without reacting, the gentler your mind becomes. A cool breeze brushes your skin. Not a real breeze, but the feeling of mental space opening inside you. There's room to breathe, room to rest, room to exist without picking up every thought like it's a burden you have to carry. Stay with this moment. Let the river move. Let the leaves pass. Let the mind do what it does without dragging you into the current. And as you watch, something subtle reveals itself. A question rising from beneath the surface. If thoughts come and go on their own, then what makes suffering feel so heavy? What makes certain thoughts stick harder than others? Why do some moments feel sharper, heavier, deeper? This is where the Buddha looked next. He didn't just watch the river. He asked why certain leaves carried more weight, why certain currents felt stronger, why suffering shows up at all. And now that you're watching your own mind with this calm, quiet clarity, you're ready to explore that too. So, as the river glides onward, carrying each thought with gentle inevitability, you lean back into the stillness and follow the Buddha's gaze into the deeper truth behind suffering. Imagine sitting beneath the same Bodhi tree where Siddhartha once sat, the earth cool beneath you, the night settling like soft cloth over your shoulders. The river of thoughts is still flowing nearby, but now you're turning inward towards something deeper, the subtle ache that lives beneath all the noise. The Buddha called this ache dukkha, often translated as suffering, but it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just that tiny pressure in the chest, that quiet restlessness, that feeling that something is just off. Dukkha isn't a punishment. It's a signal. It's the heart saying, hey, something here needs your attention. The Buddha didn't shame suffering, deny it, or pretend it was weakness. He approached it like a curious friend, and in that curiosity, he discovered something profound, the Four Noble Truths, not as rules, not as dogma, but as a clear, compassionate map that explains why the heart hurts and how it can heal. You sit beneath the tree and hear these truths unfold as gently as leaves falling around you. The first noble truth: there is suffering. not to be dramatic, but to acknowledge reality. Life brings discomfort, change, loss, fear, frustration, longing, uncertainty. Even the sweetest things carry pressure when we cling to them too tightly. You breathe softly, letting this truth settle without resistance. It's okay to admit that life gets heavy. It's okay to name it. The second noble truth. Suffering has a cause, craving, and resistance. This is where the Buddha gets real. We hurt because we cling to what feels good, push away what feels bad, and wrestle with what we can't control. Craving says, I need this to stay. Resistance says, I refuse to let that happen. Both tighten the heart. Think of a moment you wanted something to last. A relationship, a phase of life, a moment of happiness. The wanting creates tension. Or think of something you desperately wished had never happened. The resistance creates another kind of tension. You feel that? That subtle tightening? That's the root of suffering. Siddhartha noticed this in himself long before he became the Buddha. And you're noticing it now, not with blame, just with gentle awareness. A breeze moves through the branches above you, as if the tree itself is exhaling the same truth. The third noble truth. There is an end to suffering. This isn't some unrealistic positivity. It's the simple reality that when craving and resistance loosen, the heart loosens, too. When you stop gripping life so tightly, the pain has room to dissolve. Imagine unclenching your fist after holding it closed all day. The relief isn't loud, it's quiet, warm, spacious. That's the feeling the Buddha pointed to. Not perfection, not bliss on demand, just release. The fourth noble truth. There is a path that leads to this release. This path, the Noble Eightfold Path, is how the Buddha walked himself out of suffering and into freedom. Not overnight, not magically. Step by step, breath by breath, with compassion, not pressure. As you sit under the Bodhi tree, you begin to understand. Suffering doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And the solution isn't to fight harder. It's to walk differently. Feel your heart soften around this. Feel the tension loosen just a little. Feel the understanding settle like warm light in your chest. The Buddha didn't teach these truths to scare people. He taught them so no one would feel trapped inside their own struggles ever again. And now that you're beginning to understand the roots of suffering, craving, clinging, resisting, you can feel something shifting inside you. A kind of readiness, a quiet curiosity. Because if suffering has a cause, then peace has a path. And that's where you're heading next. The leaves above you rustle softly, nudging you onward. The river continues to flow. Your breath stays steady. And the path ahead begins to glow with faint, steady light. A path that frees the heart. The Eightfold Path doesn't rise before you like a staircase or a list of commandments. It appears more like a soft trail through a quiet forest, lit by warm lanterns hanging from branches. Each lantern represents a step, not something you must follow, but something you can lean into when you're ready. The Buddha described this path not as rules, but as alignment, the way to live with a mind that doesn't constantly fight itself. You take a step forward, and the first lantern glows a little brighter. Right view. This is seeing things clearly, without distortion, without panic, without the stories we pile on top of situations. It's the sense that life is easier when we stop pretending things are different than they are. Right view isn't about being positive. It's about being honest, steady, grounded. When you see reality clearly, you stop tripping over your own assumptions. This lantern stays with you, lighting every step that follows. You walk a few more paces, and another lantern lights up. Right intention. This is the quiet decision to show up with kindness, not with harm. A decision to let go of bitterness, not cling to resentment. Your intention doesn't have to be flawless. It just has to point toward compassion. When your inner compass turns in the direction of peace, even small actions begin to feel aligned. The lantern flickers gently, warming the space around you. The path curves, and the next lantern sways in a soft breeze. Right speech. Your words shape your world. The Buddha knew the impact a sentence can have, how it can soothe, or wound, or ripple through someone's heart long after it's spoken. Right speech means speaking like your words matter, because they do. Not perfectly, not always gently, but with awareness. As you breathe, you feel the heaviness of old, harsh words fall away, replaced by the possibility of softer ones. A few steps more, and another lantern glows brighter. Right action. This is living in a way that doesn't harm yourself or others. Small things. Honesty, kindness, nonviolence. It's the Buddha saying, your actions can be a refuge, not a storm. And as you walk, you feel how your body relaxes when your behavior matches your values. There's no friction, no inner conflict, just alignment. Ahead, a faint golden glow marks the next point on the path. Right livelihood. This isn't about having a perfect job, just one that doesn't cause unnecessary harm. It's earning your life in a way that feels morally clean, emotionally steady. It's allowing your work to support your peace instead of tearing at it. You feel the lantern's warmth touch your chest as you breathe in deeply. Then, from a branch just above you, the next lantern flickers awake. Right effort, not the hustle culture kind, not grinding yourself into dust. The Buddha's version is gentler, avoiding extremes, conserving energy, choosing consistency over intensity. It's the effort that flows, not the effort that drains. The kind where you're not fighting yourself. You can feel it in your breath. Effort that expands you, not effort that collapses you. The forest quiets as the next lantern comes into view. Right mindfulness. This is the awareness you've already begun to cultivate. Watching your mind without drowning in it. Noticing your breath without manipulating it. Being present without force. Mindfulness is the thread that ties the whole path together. It's how you remember that peace is not somewhere you find. It's something you return to, like coming back home. The final lantern glows softly, steady, and unshaken. Right concentration. This is the gathering of your attention, the ability to rest the mind on one thing without being dragged away. It's not about being rigid. It's about being steady, like a flame that doesn't flicker even when the wind tries to nudge it. The Buddha reached deep calm through concentration, and you feel that same calm brushing the edges of your awareness now. You stand there for a moment, surrounded by all 8 lanterns glowing in harmony. The forest feels warmer. The path feels clearer. You feel lighter, not because your problems vanished, but because you no longer feel lost inside them. The Eightfold Path isn't about forcing yourself to be good. It's about freeing yourself from unnecessary suffering. It's about living with a mind that doesn't fight itself anymore. You don't have to master all 8 steps tonight. Just walking the path is enough. Just knowing it exists is enough. As the lanterns dim slightly, creating a soft, serene glow, you notice one shining a little brighter than the others. The first step of deeper understanding, the one the Buddha emphasized as the foundation of all wisdom. And with a gentle inhale, you let yourself follow that light, guiding you smoothly into the next chapter where the clarity of right view unfolds. The night around you opens into a wide moonlit clearing. The trees part softly, and in the middle of the space is a still pond so smooth it looks like polished glass. The moon hangs above it like a silver coin, perfectly reflected on the surface. This pond is your perception, your view of the world, yourself, and everything in between. And tonight, the Buddha invites you to look into it with fresh eyes. Right view isn't about being hyper-spiritual or having all the answers. It's about seeing reality without the filters that fear, ego, and stress tend to throw over it. Most of us go through life like we're peeking through a fogged-up window, reacting to assumptions, old wounds, or stories we repeat because they're familiar. But here, by this moonlit pond, the fog drifts away. Sit down beside the water. Feel the cool earth beneath your hands. Feel the quiet surrounding you like a soft blanket. As you look into the pond, the reflection isn't just the moon, it's you. Your face, your breath, the rise and fall of your chest. You see yourself clearly for a moment, without judgment, without rushing to fix or label anything. The Buddha taught that clarity begins with honesty, not brutal honesty, not self-criticism, masquerading as truth, but gentle acknowledgement, seeing what's actually there. Take a breath and let yourself see your experiences without the usual distortion. Not, I should be stronger. Not, why am I like this? Just, this is what I feel. This is what I've lived. This is who I am, right now. The pond ripples slightly, as if responding to your honesty. The moon's reflection wavers, but doesn't disappear. That's the nature of reality. It moves, but it doesn't vanish. It's imperfect, but recognizable, clear, even in motion. The Buddha often taught through simple images, and the pond fits perfectly. When the water is turbulent, you can't see anything clearly. But when it settles, everything becomes obvious. Not dramatic, not mystical, just true. Let the stillness sink in. Let the clarity stretch across your mind like early morning light. Right view means recognizing that everything changes. Thoughts change, feelings change, people change, seasons change. The problem isn't change, it's our resistance to it. You look at the pond again and realize the reflection shifts with every breeze, but it never stops being the pond. In the same way, you are allowed to change without losing yourself. The Buddha's wisdom hits gently, like a truth you already kind of knew, but never said out loud. Clarity dissolves fear, not by force, but by exposing what's real and letting go of the stories layered on top. You look deeper into the water and see not just yourself, but your intentions, the quiet motivations behind your choices. And this is where right view naturally flows into right intention. Your intention is the direction your heart is pointing. Even when life feels chaotic or messy, your intention is the quiet setting beneath it all. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a flawless moral compass. You just need a heart that leans toward kindness. The Buddha didn't ask people to become saints. He asked them to check what their heart was aiming at. Are you moving from fear or compassion? From anger or patience? From insecurity or understanding? The pond reflects these things too, not to judge you, but to show you your starting point. And when you see clearly, you can move clearly. A soft breeze passes over the water, carrying the scent of night blossoms. The moonlight dances over the ripples, and you notice something subtle. The clearer your view becomes, the more naturally your intention aligns with peace. When you understand reality, you naturally stop fighting it. When you see your own heart clearly, you stop forcing it to be something it's not. And with clarity comes gentleness, the kind that spills over into every part of your life, including your words. The Buddha knew the power of speech, how words can wound, soothe, shape, or shatter peace. And as you rise from the moonlit pond, the next lantern on the path glows softly ahead of you, guiding you toward that understanding. With your mind clear and your heart aligned, you step forward into the next teaching, leading you into the next chapter, where the Buddha explores the quiet power of right speech. The path leads you to a small grove of bamboo, swaying gently in the night breeze, the hollow stalks creating a soft, airy hum. It sounds like the world breathing. The Buddha often used images like this to describe right speech, the idea that words should move like wind through bamboo, gentle, clear, and never harsh enough to splinter anything in their path. You sit among the swaying green pillars, the ground smooth beneath you. The moonlight filters down in long silver threads, catching on the leaves overhead. This place feels naturally quiet, as if even the forest understands the value of speaking only when the heart is calm. Right speech isn't about policing yourself or trying to sound perfect. It's about recognizing the influence of your words, how they ripple outward, how they echo inside others, and how they shape your own mind. Every word you speak carries a kind of energy. It either builds peace or disturbs it. And most of that shaping begins long before the words even leave your mouth. You take a slow breath. The bamboo hums softly around you. The night is still. The Buddha taught that right speech has 4 simple qualities. Speak truthfully. Truth has a frequency. When you tell the truth, your body relaxes. Your breath steadies. Your mind doesn't have to scramble to maintain stories. Truth isn't always comfortable, but it's always clean. It doesn't leave residue. It doesn't knot your stomach. Speak kindly. Kindness doesn't mean sugarcoating or hiding what needs to be said. It just means choosing words that don't pierce or burn unnecessarily. Kind speech is strong without being sharp, honest without being cruel. Think of bamboo, flexible, never brittle. Speak at the right time. You've probably felt this one before. Moments when the truth was real, but the timing was off, and it landed like a stone. The Buddha understood timing as part of wisdom. Speaking when the other person can receive your words, and when your own mind isn't tangled or hot. Speak with purpose. Words don't have to be deep or philosophical. They just need to have intention. Even silence is a form of communication when chosen consciously. When your words come from presence rather than impulse, they naturally carry peace. As these teachings settle into you, you begin to reflect quietly on the words you've spoken in your life. The good ones, the rushed ones, the ones that healed, and the ones that slipped out too fast. The bamboo's whisper seems to ask you not to judge yourself, but simply to observe. Some words in your memory feel warm, others feel heavy, others feel unfinished. All of them were part of your path. You place a hand on the earth beside you, grounding yourself. The forest doesn't judge the wind for blowing too hard or too soft. It simply bends, sways, and listens. In the same way, you're learning to hold your past speech lightly, knowing it led you here to this moment of awareness. You breathe in slowly, and something inside you shifts. A commitment, not rigid or performative, but soft and natural. The intention to speak more gently, to choose clarity over chaos, compassion over impulsiveness. Not because you have to, but because your heart genuinely wants to. And when you treat others with gentler speech, something interesting happens inside your own mind. Your inner voice softens too. You become less harsh with yourself, less reactive, less tangled. The Buddha understood this deeply. The tone we use with others often becomes the tone we speak to ourselves with. You let that truth land. You feel it ripple through you like warm water. The bamboo grove sways again, and something about the sound feels like an invitation to stand up, to walk forward, to embody your speech through your actions. Because the Buddha didn't separate words from behavior. He saw them as reflections of the same inner state. Right speech flows naturally into right action, the next part of the path, the way you move, the choices you make, the integrity you carry with you. Words are the opening. Actions are the follow-through. And so, as you rise from the bamboo grove, a new lantern lights the path ahead. Your breath is steady, your intention calm, your heart aligned. The forest opens into a wider clearing, inviting you to step into the next teaching. With each footfall, gentle against the earth, you walk toward the next lesson, guiding you into the next chapter, where the Buddha reveals the soft strength of right action. The trees open into a quiet meadow, illuminated by the soft glow of fireflies drifting lazily through the night. The grass is cool under your feet, and the air carries the scent of damp earth and distant blossoms. This space feels untouched, like the world before noise, before conflict, before stress. It's the perfect place to explore the Buddha's teaching on right action, the way we move in the world when our heart is steady. People often think of morality as something rigid or strict, like a list of rules you're supposed to follow without question. But the Buddha didn't teach morality like that. He saw it as something natural, a way of living that grows out of clarity and compassion. When your mind is calm and your intention is kind, your actions follow that same rhythm. You walk slowly through the meadow, feeling each step sink gently into the earth. No rush, no pressure, just presence. Right action is simple at its core. Do not harm. Be honest. Be kind. Be clean in your choices. Not because you fear consequences, but because peace feels better than chaos. The Buddha described right action with the same softness you feel right now. Actions that don't leave a trail of regret or guilt or harm behind them. Every step you take in this meadow is like a symbol, a footprint that leaves no damage, only a temporary impression that fades peacefully. As you continue walking, you notice how your breath stays steady, your mind loosened from earlier tensions. You start to feel the truth of right action, not as a rule, but as a rhythm, something that comes from inside you. When your heart is calm, you naturally move differently through the world. You speak differently. You behave differently. You show up differently. You pause near a cluster of glowing fireflies, their tiny bodies lighting up like wandering stars. They drift around you without fear because your presence carries no threat. That's the magic of right action. When your intentions and words are gentle, your actions become a form of safety. Others feel it. You feel it. The Buddha taught three main aspects of right action. 1. Non-harm. Not harming isn't just about avoiding violence. It's about choosing not to add suffering. Not to yourself, not to others. It's the quiet decision to move through life like you're touching everything with soft hands. 2. Honesty and integrity. Being clean in your behavior. Owning your choices. Not living in ways that fracture your peace. When your behavior aligns with your values, you stop fighting yourself internally. 3. Purity in daily conduct. This includes the small things. Showing up with respect. Keeping your boundaries clean. Choosing actions that don't tangle your heart in guilt or resentment. Right action doesn't ask you to be perfect. It just asks you to be intentional. To choose the path that doesn't leave you feeling heavy afterward. You continue walking as the moon rises higher, silver light casting long shadows over the meadow. Each step feels like a small promise to yourself to move through the world with softness, even when life gets messy. The Buddha knew that inner peace isn't built on big dramatic moments. It's built on small, consistent actions that don't break your heart or your integrity. You take a breath and feel something settle inside you. A sense of direction, a sense of alignment, a sense that your life can move with less friction when your actions are clean and gentle. The meadow begins to shift as you walk, the grass growing taller, the fireflies drifting upward, revealing a path that leads toward the horizon. You know the next step on the Buddha's path is closely related to this one, because your actions don't just come from your heart, they shape your life. The work you do, the way you earn your living, the environment you're part of, all of it influences your peace. Right action flows naturally into right livelihood, the next lantern on the path. If actions are how you behave moment to moment, livelihood is the long-term echo of those actions, how you sustain yourself day after day. The earth beneath you grows firmer, signaling a shift. The fireflies drift aside, opening a path lined with tall, quiet trees. Their trunks rise like guardians of the next teaching, steady and unmoving. With a final, slow breath in the meadow's soft glow, you follow the path onward, stepping into the next chapter where the Buddha shows how even the way you make your living can support inner peace. The night forest opens into a small village nestled among gentle hills. Warm lanterns glow from simple wooden homes, and the air carries the soft scent of rice cooking somewhere in the distance. There's a sense of community here, not hurried, not stressed, just steady and intentional. This little village embodies the essence of right livelihood, the Buddha's teaching about living in ways that don't create harm, either outwardly or inwardly. You walk along a dirt path that winds through the village. The ground is uneven but welcoming. A dog sleeps under a low roof. A farmer rinses her hands in a basin, smiling at the quiet night. Everything feels slow, grounded, honest. The Buddha didn't ask people to quit their lives or abandon society. He understood that humans need work to survive, to contribute, to feel connected. But he taught that the type of work we do matters, not in terms of prestige or paycheck, but in terms of impact. Right livelihood asks one simple question: does your work support peace or disturb it? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to avoid causing harm to yourself, to others, or to the world around you. You watch a potter shaping clay in front of his small home. His hands move slowly, gently, almost meditatively. There is no rush. The bowl forms under his fingertips, as if guided by breath alone. This is work that nourishes, not exhausts. Work that brings life into the world without taking anything away. A baker passes by, carrying a bucket of warm bread. She nods to you with a softness that feels like a blessing. She does her work not because she must constantly strive, but because feeding the community brings her quiet joy. Her livelihood is simple, but it ripples outward in nourishment. These moments remind you that livelihood isn't just about your job title. It's the energy you put into the world every day. Even small actions accumulate over time, shaping the field your mind grows in. The Buddha described 3 core qualities of right livelihood. 1. Non-harm in action. Choose work that doesn't hurt others, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. This doesn't mean perfection. It means awareness, intentionality, a willingness to choose gentler paths when possible. 2. Non-harm in intention. Even if your work looks harmless on the outside, the mindset behind it matters. If you're driven by greed, bitterness, or deceit, the heart will feel twisted. Right livelihood encourages you to work from clarity, not desperation. 3. Non-harm toward yourself. This one gets overlooked. The Buddha understood that work that destroys your well-being, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, pulls you away from the path. Your work should sustain you, not crush you. It should support your peace, not steal it. You walk deeper into the village and sit near a small well. The water reflects the lantern glow, shimmering with quiet light. A few villagers gather nearby, talking softly. Their voices rise like gentle waves, steady and comforting. There is no urgency here, no frantic energy, just humans living in ways that don't cause unnecessary suffering. You take a breath and realize something. Right livelihood isn't about quitting your job. It's about adjusting your mindset. It's about making choices, even small ones, that align with peace. About not selling your well-being for the sake of survival. About recognizing that your inner world is shaped by the energy you give every day. The villagers eventually disperse, returning to their homes. The night grows quieter. You stand from the well, feeling grounded, supported by the simplicity around you. And then something subtle shifts again. You realize that living in ways that bring no harm requires something else too. Effort, but not the pressured, exhausting grind you might be used to. The Buddha taught a different kind of effort, one that lifts instead of drains, one that nurtures instead of burns you out. The lanterns along the village path flicker softly, almost nudging you onward. The night breeze cools your skin. You step forward, leaving the warm glow of the small village behind and following the forest trail once more. And with each step, you feel yourself moving naturally into the next teaching. The teaching of balanced, gentle, sustainable energy. The teaching of right effort. You walk toward its lantern now, leading you into the next chapter. The path leads you into a clearing where the trees form a circle, their branches weaving together like protective hands. In the center sits a single stone platform, worn smooth by time. This is a place where many seekers before you have paused to rest, to breathe, to understand that effort doesn't have to feel like strain. The Buddha himself learned this the hard way. Before his awakening, Siddhartha pushed himself relentlessly. Severe fasting, extreme discipline, endless restraint. He forced his body to the edge, believing that suffering would break open the door to truth. But instead, his body began to fail. His spirit weakened. His mind became clouded. And in that collapse, he realized something profound. Awakening cannot come from self-punishment. You step closer to the stone platform and sit down, letting the cool surface ground you. The air here is different, lighter, calmer, almost spacious. It's the kind of air that invites you to unclench. Right effort isn't about pushing harder. It's about aiming your energy wisely, gently, sustainably. The Buddha described it like tuning a stringed instrument. If the string is too tight, it snaps. If it's too loose, it makes no sound. Balance is where clarity appears. You breathe slowly, letting this truth settle into you. Think of all the times you tightened yourself too much, trying too hard, stressing too much, grinding until your body protested. And think of the opposite, the times you loosened so much you drifted, detached, or lost momentum. Both extremes create suffering, but the middle way, that's where healing thrives. The clearing around you shimmers in moonlight, and you notice how gently everything exists here. The trees grow without forcing themselves upward. The wind moves without pushing. The night continues without urgency. Nothing in nature burns itself out to prove its worth. Right effort is the effort of nature. Consistent, soft, unwavering. The Buddha taught 4 qualities of this gentle effort. 1. Avoiding unwholesome states, not by force, not by shame, simply by noticing when something drains your peace and stepping away with awareness. 2. Letting go of what's already harming you. Thought patterns, habits, reactions. You don't have to fight them. You just loosen your grip and let them dissolve in their own time. 3. Cultivating wholesome states. Choosing calm, compassion, honesty, and presence. Not out of pressure, but because they feel good in your chest. 4. Sustaining what supports you. Protecting your inner peace the way you'd protect a flame in the wind, with steady hands and gentle patience. As these 4 qualities echo in your mind, something inside you softens. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You don't need to grind your way toward enlightenment. You don't need to optimize your peace. You only need to keep your energy balanced. Not too tight, not too loose. The moon rises higher above the clearing, casting a soft spotlight over you. You place a hand on your chest and feel your breath deepen, as if your body finally received permission to stop fighting itself. Balanced effort feels like this, a quiet yes in your bones. The Buddha reached awakening not when he forced himself, but when he let himself rest into alignment, when he allowed his body nourishment, when he let his mind soften, when he stopped gripping the path like a weapon and instead walked it with tenderness. You take another breath, feeling the truth of that settle deeper. Your shoulders lower, your jaw relaxes, your heartbeat steadies into a comfortable rhythm. This is the kind of effort that leads somewhere, not frantic motion, but intentional ease. From the edge of the clearing, you begin to sense another layer of awareness rising, something the Buddha discovered immediately after balancing his effort. Mindfulness, a deeper presence, a sharper softness, a clarity that comes from watching the mind gently, not controlling it. The clearing's moonlight stretches into a path of silver, guiding you forward. Balanced effort has prepared you for the next step, the refinement of awareness itself. So you stand, breathing evenly, and follow that shimmering trail into the depths of the forest, leading you smoothly into the next chapter, where the Buddha teaches you how to return fully to the present moment. The forest opens into a softly glowing glade, illuminated by pale moonlight spilling through tall branches. The air is cool and clean, carrying the faint scent of damp leaves and distant blossoms. Everything here feels intentional, like the moment is inviting you to actually live inside it instead of rushing past it. This is the heart of mindfulness, the Buddha's gentle practice of returning to what is real right now. Mindfulness is often misunderstood as a forced focus, a rigid stillness, or a mental exercise you're supposed to get right. But the Buddha taught it differently. Mindfulness is simply remembering to come home to yourself, over and over, softly, without judgment, without pressure. Returning to the moment the way a tired traveler returns to a familiar home. You take a slow breath, and the glade seems to inhale with you. Then exhale, a shared rhythm. Start by noticing your body, not analyzing it, not correcting it, just noticing. Feel the weight of your body supported by the earth beneath you. Feel the air brushing your skin. Feel your heartbeat pulsing gently in your chest, steady and alive. The Buddha understood that the body is an anchor, always here, always in the present, even when the mind runs off into stories, fears, and memories. When you return to the body, you return to right now. The glade is full of quiet sound, the faint hum of insects, leaves shifting above you, your breath moving in and out. Let these sounds wash over you without grabbing your attention. Let them exist. Let yourself exist among them. The present moment isn't something to achieve. It's something you relax into. You close your eyes gently and feel your breath deepen. Inhaling is like opening a small window inside your chest. Exhaling is like releasing a weight you didn't know you were carrying. Mindfulness isn't about eliminating thoughts. The Buddha never said that. Thoughts still come. They still drift. It's the relationship that changes. Instead of wrestling with them, you watch them pass like clouds crossing the night sky. A thought appears. You observe it, and then it fades into the darkness, making room for the next breath, the next moment. The glade glimmers softly as if responding to your awareness. Light filters through the leaves, landing in shifting patterns across the ground. Each patch of light is unique, appearing, moving, dissolving, just like moments, just like emotions, just like thoughts. The Buddha taught mindfulness in 4 gentle foundations: the body, the breath, the mind, and the world around you. Right now, you're touching all 4 without effort. Your breath flows, your body rests, your mind observes, your senses receive. No striving, no grasping, just presence. The more you stay in this awareness, the more the world seems to slow down, not in a dramatic, cinematic way, just in a natural, peaceful way. The moment stops rushing. The mind stops scattering. Everything feels closer, clearer. You start to realize something the Buddha understood deeply. The present moment is the only place where peace actually exists. Not in the past, not in the future. Those are just stories. Peace lives here. In the inhale, in the exhale, in the softness of noticing. You rest in this truth for a moment, letting your awareness expand. Feel your breath. Feel the glade. Feel the night holding you like a calm, steady hand. Eventually, your attention narrows to a single point: your breath, your heartbeat, or the faint shimmer of moonlight on the ground. This natural settling is what the Buddha called the beginning of right concentration. When mindfulness becomes steady enough, the mind gathers into a single, peaceful focus. Not forced, not rigid, just unified. The glade begins to glow slightly brighter, as if signaling a shift. The sounds around you fade into a soft background hum. Your awareness feels sharper but calmer, like a flame that no longer flickers. This is the doorway the Buddha walked through next. Concentration so gentle it becomes effortless, so stable it becomes transformative. With one more slow breath, you stand from the glade, your mind gathered like still water. As you leave the moonlit glade behind, the quiet mindfulness you cultivated lingers like a soft glow in your chest. Your awareness feels steadier now, like your mind isn't scattered across 1,000 places, but gathered gently into the moment. And as you follow the forest path deeper into the night, something begins to shift. The sounds fade, the breeze stills, and the world around you quiets into a deep, serene hush. This is where the Buddha's next teaching waits, the kind of focus that turns the mind into a calm, clear lake. The forest gives way to a wide, open lake bathed in soft moonlight. The water is impossibly still, so smooth it looks like a sheet of silver glass stretching endlessly into the night. The moon sits perfect and unmoving on its surface, its reflection so clear it's hard to tell which one is real. This lake embodies right concentration, the Buddha's teaching on gathering the mind into a steady, peaceful focus. You walk to the edge of the shoreline, each step sinking softly into the cool sand. The air feels heavier here, but not in a burdened way. In the way a quiet room feels heavy with stillness. The moment has weight, presence. The mind responds by slowing, softening, settling. Right concentration is often misunderstood as intense focus, like forcing your attention into a narrow beam. But the Buddha taught something different. True concentration feels like this lake, undisturbed, reflective, naturally calm, not strained, not forced, just unified. You sit at the water's edge, legs folded gently beneath you. The moonlight stretches across the lake in a shimmering path, leading your eyes to the center of its glow. This is what your mind feels like when concentration takes root. All the scattered pieces drawn into one steady point. Take a slow breath. Feel your awareness gather in your chest. Then breathe out and let everything unnecessary dissolve. The Buddha described concentration as the ability to rest the mind on a chosen object, the breath, a sensation, a sound, a feeling, not by gripping it tightly, but by returning to it gently every time the mind wanders, over and over, like guiding a child back to the safe path with a soft hand. You choose the reflection of the moon as your point of focus. Each inhale draws it closer to your awareness. Each exhale smooths your mind into the same stillness. Thoughts might rise, and they do. You notice them like small ripples breaking the surface of the lake. A worry, a memory, a stray random thought. But instead of following them, you simply let them fade. The water grows still again. The moon returns to clarity, and each time you witness this settling, your concentration strengthens naturally, quietly, without effort. The Buddha taught 4 stages of deep concentration, jhanas. But you don't need to label anything tonight. You're experiencing the essence of it already. A mind that stops fighting itself. A heart that gathers instead of scattering. Awareness that feels contained, not stretched thin. The lake around you remains still, even when a breeze brushes across the water. It ripples lightly, but always returns to perfect calm. Your mind is learning that same rhythm, disturbance, then stillness, movement, then return. There's no shame in the movement. It's part of the process. You place your palms on your knees, feeling the cool night air against your skin. A sense of inner spaciousness grows slowly, like a lantern being lit inside your chest. Concentration doesn't shrink the mind, it organizes it. It frees up mental space you didn't even realize was tangled. As your focus deepens, the sounds around you soften into the background, not disappearing entirely, but blending into one unified hum. The world feels distant, but gentle, like it's giving you space to settle further. Your breath slows, your heartbeat softens, your thoughts space out like stars in a vast night sky. And somewhere within that calm, a feeling rises. Not a thought, not an image, but a warmth. Subtle, soft, familiar. Concentration naturally opens the door to compassion. When your mind is quiet and your heart is steady, kindness surfaces on its own. The Buddha understood this deeply. A focused mind becomes a gentle mind. A gentle mind becomes a compassionate mind. Compassion isn't something you force. It's something that appears when the noise fades. You feel that warmth spreading now, glowing softly in the center of your chest. The lake seems to sense it too. The moonlight brightens slightly, shimmering across the water like a blessing. The next teaching rises from this warmth. Compassion as a warm light. Not dramatic, not performative, just a natural extension of a peaceful mind. You stand slowly, letting the stillness of the lake settle into your bones. The path behind you fades, and a new one opens ahead, illuminated by a faint golden glow. The warmth in your chest guides your steps as you leave the shoreline and walk toward the next lantern of the Buddha's wisdom. As you step away from the still lake, its quiet settles into your chest like a soft glow that refuses to fade. Your mind feels steadier now, focused without effort, calm without trying. And in that calm, something warm begins to rise. A gentle, almost fragile feeling that expands the more you notice it. This is the natural next step the Buddha taught. When the mind grows peaceful, the heart begins to open. And as the forest darkens ahead, a single warm light appears, guiding you into the teaching of compassion. The path leads you into a grove where the trees stand tall and close, their branches forming a canopy that blocks most of the moonlight. The air is cooler here, almost still, and a hush hangs over the space like the world is waiting for something. Then, at the center of the grove, you see it, a single lantern hanging from a low branch. Its flame flickers with a warm golden glow, lighting a small circle of earth beneath it. This lantern is the heart of compassion. The Buddha taught that compassion isn't something dramatic or loud. It's not a performance or a grand gesture. Compassion begins as a simple warmth, a quiet willingness to understand suffering rather than turn away from it. You step closer to the lantern, feeling its glow touch your skin. It feels like standing near a fire on a cold night. Gentle, steady, comforting. Compassion starts with seeing clearly, something you've already begun. When your mind isn't tangled in noise, you start to notice your own pain, not in a self-pitying way, but in an honest human way. And from that recognition, a soft question naturally arises. If I'm hurting, how many others must be feeling the same? This is where compassion is born, not in guilt or obligation, but in shared humanity. You kneel beneath the lantern and place a hand over your chest. Feel that warmth expand from the lantern into your heart. It's subtle at first, almost like the feeling you get when someone sees you clearly without judgment. The Buddha understood that compassion, at its core, is simply the desire to ease suffering, your own and others. In the lantern's glow, you begin to notice memories rising, moments when you were hurting, moments you felt alone, moments you wish someone understood. Instead of pushing them away, let the warmth hold them. The Buddha never told people to ignore their pain. He taught them to meet it with tenderness. Your breath softens, your shoulders loosen, your heart becomes a little gentler toward itself. That's the first layer of compassion, inward compassion. The voice inside that says, "Hey, you're doing your best, even when life feels heavy." The voice that forgives you for being human. The voice that stops expecting perfection from someone who's just trying to make it through the day. When compassion touches you, it naturally begins to spill outward. You look around the grove, the quiet trees, the still air, the faint whisper of leaves, and you sense how many people in the world are carrying invisible weight. People who feel lost, people who feel unseen, people who are tired but keep going anyway. The lantern brightens slightly as if responding to this widening awareness. Compassion isn't pity, it's connection. It's the recognition that every heart beats with its own struggles. You breathe in and let that truth sink deeper. You breathe out and imagine your breath carrying warmth into the world around you. The Buddha taught that compassion is like light. It doesn't force itself on anyone. It doesn't demand anything. It simply shines, and whoever steps into it feels a little less cold. You watch the lantern flicker, and the flame seems to stretch its glow across the grove, reaching the edges of darkness without straining. This is how compassion works when it's real, effortless, steady, warm. As you sit with this glow, the warmth inside you grows a little brighter, a little fuller. It fills the spaces that once felt tight and softens edges you didn't realize you were carrying. Compassion doesn't weaken you. It strengthens you in the quietest way. And as your heart expands, another teaching begins to rise behind it. A practice the Buddha cherished, one that turns compassion into an intentional, radiant force. Loving kindness. Metta. The boundless wish for all beings to be safe, peaceful, and free. Compassion is the spark. Loving kindness is the flame. You stand slowly beneath the lantern, feeling its warmth settle into your bones. The grove shifts as a gentle breeze passes through, carrying the glow forward along the path. You follow its light, step by soft step, your heart warm and open. As you leave the warm glow of the compassion lantern behind, you can still feel its heat resting gently in your chest. The forest around you seems to sense that shift, the branches arching a little closer, the air softening against your skin, the night becoming a quiet companion instead of an empty space. Compassion has opened something in you, a small inner door. And now, the path invites you to widen that opening, to let the warmth stretch outward until it touches more than just your own heart. This is where the Buddha's teaching on loving kindness begins. The path curves gently until you reach a small clearing shaped like a circle, open to the sky. The moon hangs full above you, glowing with a soft, milky light that washes everything in silver. The air here feels different, spacious, open, expectant. This is a place where hearts expand, a place where the Buddha taught the practice of metta, or loving kindness. You sit in the center of the clearing and close your eyes. The earth is cool. The night is calm. Your breath settles into a soft, steady rhythm. Loving kindness begins with a single intention. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. These words aren't wishes you force. They aren't demands. They're more like gentle seeds, placed softly in the soil of your heart. You repeat them silently, letting the meaning drift down into you like warm rain. May I be safe. Feel the softness of that wish. Not perfection, not invincibility, just safety, just comfort, just steadiness. May I be peaceful. Feel the tension ease a little with each repetition. Peace doesn't have to be loud. It can be quiet and subtle, like a soft hum beneath your breath. May I be free from suffering. Not because suffering makes you weak, but because freedom allows your heart to expand. You say these phrases slowly, letting them settle. There's no rush, no pressure to feel something. The words do their work even in silence. Once the warmth grows in your chest, even a tiny bit, the Buddha taught that you expand it outward. First to someone you love, someone who rests easily in your heart. Picture them clearly. Their face, their voice, the way they make you feel a little lighter just by existing. Hold them gently in your mind and repeat, may you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. The clearing around you feels warmer, as if the moon itself leans closer to listen. Loving kindness isn't about trying to control anyone's life. It's simply letting your goodwill reach them like a warm breeze. Then, in the Buddha's gentle progression, you choose someone neutral, someone who doesn't stir strong emotions either way. Maybe a stranger you passed in a store, a person you saw sitting on a bench months ago, a coworker you barely know. Their life is full of joys and struggles you'll never see, but you offer them the same wish. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. The warmth expands again, reaching places that were previously untouched. The circle widens. Then comes the hardest part, the one the Buddha considered essential for growing a boundless heart. You bring someone to mind who has caused you difficulty, someone who hurt you, annoyed you, disappointed you, or brought confusion into your life. You don't need to forgive them tonight. You don't need to justify what happened. You don't even need to like them. You just offer the same wish, gently, without forcing anything. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. Let the words be soft. Let them be imperfect. Let them be real. Loving kindness doesn't erase boundaries. It simply dissolves hatred. It clears space in your own heart so bitterness doesn't weigh you down. Now the Buddha invites you to expand even wider, beyond individuals, to all beings in this forest, to all beings in this country, to all beings across oceans and cities and quiet villages. to every living creature breathing under this same sky. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free from suffering. The clearing glows with a warmth that doesn't come from the moon. It comes from you. Loving kindness radiates outward endlessly when you let it. There are no walls thick enough to stop it, no borders solid enough to contain it. The Buddha taught that this boundless goodwill frees the mind from fear and frees the heart from tension. The air around you becomes almost shimmering, as if the warmth has turned into visible light. You feel stretched, not in a painful way, but in an expansive, rising way, like your heart is bigger than your body. But with expansion comes a need for balance, a grounding force that keeps the heart steady and the mind calm. The Buddha knew that loving kindness must be paired with something else: equanimity, the balanced, peaceful acceptance that holds everything together. The moon brightens, the clearing deepens, and the warmth in your chest settles into something calm and steady. As the warmth of loving kindness settles inside you, something subtle begins to shift. The glow doesn't disappear. It just steadies, like a flame protected by cupped hands. Your heart feels wider, your breath deeper, but you can sense you need a counterbalance. Something that keeps all this openness grounded and calm. The Buddha understood that a boundless heart needs steady footing, not clinging, not resisting, just resting in what is. And so the forest path opens again, guiding you into the balanced stillness of equanimity. The path leads you to the base of a tall stone cliff, its surface smooth and pale under the moonlight. At the top, a single tree grows from the rock, its roots gripping the stone with quiet determination, its branches reaching upward with calm confidence. This tree doesn't fear the wind or the rain. It doesn't cling to sunlit days or resist the cold. It simply stands, steady and unshaken. This is equanimity. You sit at the foot of the cliff, feeling its cool surface behind your back. The tree above you is a reminder of a truth the Buddha taught often. Peace isn't about controlling life. It's about meeting life with balance, not pushing anything away, not clinging to anything too tightly, just allowing what comes to come and letting what goes, go. Your breath softens, your body relaxes, your mind begins to settle into a gentle neutrality. Equanimity isn't coldness or numbness. Far from it. It's warmth without attachment, clarity without panic, care without being consumed. It's the emotional version of standing in a deep, quiet lake. The surface can ripple, the wind can shift, but the depths remain calm. You let your awareness drift inward. Think of moments when joy came into your life, how easily the heart wants to cling to them, grasp them, hold them still. Then think of difficult moments, how quickly the mind wants to push them away, bury them, resist them. The Buddha saw that both reactions create suffering. Clinging tightens the heart. Resistance knots the mind. Equanimity releases both. You breathe slowly, letting this truth settle. Imagine holding a small bird in your hands. If you grip it tightly, you harm it. If you ignore it completely, it flies away in fear. But if you hold it gently, just enough to feel its warmth, just enough to let it know it's safe, it rests there naturally. This is how equanimity asks you to hold your experiences. Gently, respectfully, without forcing the moment to be anything other than what it is. Above you, the lone tree sways slightly in the breeze. Its branches move with the wind, not against it. Its roots stay grounded, no matter the season. The Buddha often compared humans to trees, deeply rooted beings who can bend without breaking when they learn balance. Facing gain and loss, praise and blame, joy and grief, success and failure, all with the same quiet steadiness. You close your eyes and feel your emotions settle like snowflakes drifting to the ground. No rush, no pressure, just a soft descent into calm. Equanimity doesn't mean you don't feel things. It means you don't drown in them. It means your heart becomes spacious enough to hold joy and sorrow without being shaken apart. As you sit in the moonlit clearing, you start to sense the freedom that comes with this balance. Nothing feels urgent. Nothing feels overwhelming. Everything just is. You begin to understand why the Buddha placed equanimity alongside loving kindness. One opens the heart, the other keeps it steady. Your breath deepens, your shoulders relax. Your mind drifts into an emotional quiet, a neutrality that feels safe, clean, spacious. And from this neutrality, a new insight emerges, almost effortlessly. If you stop clinging and stop resisting, what's left? Letting go. Not the dramatic kind. Not the move on instantly kind. The Buddha taught something simpler. The gentle, natural release that happens when you stop gripping life so tightly. The tree above you drops a single leaf, and you watch it fall slowly, drifting without resistance until it lands softly on the ground. Just like that. Letting go. You stand slowly, taking in one last breath of this balanced, grounded night air. The path stretches forward, illuminated by a warm glow that signals the next teaching. As you step away from the rooted strength of equanimity, you feel something loosen inside you, like the tightness you've been carrying quietly begins to melt. Balance has given you a grounded place to stand, and from that steadiness, you can finally see what the Buddha saw so clearly. Most suffering comes from the things we cling to. The path ahead softens, the night grows warmer, and a gentle breeze carries a single fallen leaf across your path. It floats freely, showing you the next teaching. You follow that drifting leaf as it dances through the night air, carried by nothing but the breeze. It swirls gently, weightless, unhurried, until it comes to rest in a small hollow lined with soft moss. The moonlight settles over the space like a calm blessing. Here, in this quiet pocket of the forest, the Buddha's teaching on letting go reveals itself. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending things never mattered. And it definitely doesn't mean numbing yourself. Letting go, as the Buddha taught, is a soft unclenching, an easing of the grip you didn't even realize you had. It's the release of the emotional fist that's been holding on for too long. You sit in the mossy hollow, the air cool and still around you. Your breath rises and falls with a slow cadence. Your thoughts soften into background whispers. Think of something you've held on to, a memory, a disappointment, a fear, an expectation of how someone should have acted or how your life should have unfolded. You don't have to name it out loud. Just feel its presence like a stone you've been carrying in your pocket for years. The Buddha taught that clinging creates suffering because it ties the heart to things that are always changing. People change. Circumstances shift. Moments dissolve. Holding on tightly to what cannot remain is like trying to keep water cupped in your hands. It slips through your fingers no matter how hard you try. You look up at the trees around you. Their branches are full, but they don't cling to their leaves. When the season changes, the trees release what was once beautiful, once vibrant, once alive. Not with bitterness, not with regret, with trust. Trust that what leaves will be replaced in time. Trust that release creates space for growth. You place your hand over your heart and breathe out slowly, a long, gentle exhale. Feel the tightness in your chest soften, even if only a little. Letting go happens in layers, not all at once. The Buddha never asked anyone to drop their suffering overnight. He taught release as a practice, a gradual unwinding. Picture that stone you've been carrying. Feel its weight. Feel how long it's been there. Feel the ache of holding it. Then imagine placing it gently on the moss beside you. Not throwing it, not forcing it away, just setting it down for a moment. Notice the lightness, the shift in your breath, the space that opens inside your chest. This is the beginning of freedom. Letting go is less about getting rid of something and more about loosening your attachment to it. It's allowing things to be what they are instead of gripping them into what they're not. It's choosing peace over control, ease over tightness, truth over fantasy. You feel a breeze brush across your face, soft, cool, almost reassuring. The fallen leaf beside you shivers and shifts slightly. The forest around you seems to exhale, as if acknowledging your small moment of release. The Buddha taught that freedom is not found by adding things to your life, but by removing the inner knots that tangle your mind. Letting go is the process of untying those knots slowly, patiently, compassionately. As you breathe, you begin to wonder, if I let go of this, what comes next? What fills the space I've been guarding so tightly? The Buddha had an answer for that too. After letting go comes acceptance, the soft, peaceful recognition of life as it truly is, not as you fear it might become or as you wish it would be. Acceptance is the ground beneath your feet after release, the gentle landing place once your hands finally open. The moss beneath you feels like that acceptance, supportive and steady. The night air feels like that acceptance, cool and honest. Even your breath feels like acceptance, rising and falling without resistance. You stand slowly, feeling lighter than when you arrived. The leaf that led you here rests peacefully in the hollow, no longer swirling, no longer traveling, simply existing. The path ahead brightens with a soft glow, inviting you forward, and with each step, you feel the freedom of release, making room for something new, something truer, quieter, softer. The Buddha's next teaching waits just beyond the curve of the trail, acceptance as a path to peace. As you continue down the path, the lightness from letting go stays with you like a quiet echo. There's more space in your chest now, more room for breath to move without hitting old walls. You sense that the Buddha's next teaching isn't about release anymore. It's about learning to live peacefully with whatever remains. The forest around you shifts, the air grows cooler, and the soft patter of distant rain begins to whisper through the trees. This is where acceptance begins. A gentle rain has started to fall, not heavy, not cold, just a soft shower that settles over the forest like a silk veil. Droplets glimmer in the moonlight as they slip through the leaves, each one landing with a tiny, calming sound. You step beneath a broad tree, its branches forming a natural canopy above you, and watch the rain gather in slow, rhythmic patterns across the ground. This is the perfect setting for the Buddha's teaching on acceptance. Not the forced kind, not the just get over it kind that people sometimes throw around carelessly. The Buddha meant something gentler, something truer, something like this rain. Acceptance is the art of letting things be what they are instead of exhausting yourself trying to force them into something they're not. It's the peace that comes when you release resistance, the internal friction that turns pain into suffering. You listen as the rainfall settles into its natural rhythm. It doesn't rush. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't fear being too much or too little. It just falls. Your breath sinks quietly with it. The Buddha taught that suffering often comes from trying to control the uncontrollable, other people's choices, outcomes you can't shape, the past you can't rewrite, the future you can't predict. Acceptance isn't about liking everything that happens. It's about acknowledging reality without fighting it. Rain falls whether you approve or not. Seasons shift whether you want them to or not. Life moves. Acceptance means you move with it. You sit on the damp ground, letting the rhythm of the rain settle your mind. Imagine all the moments in your life where you resisted reality, clung to how things should have been. That tightness in your chest, that internal pressure, that's what acceptance dissolves. Acceptance says, this is what's happening. This is what exists right now. Let me meet it with softness instead of struggle. You extend your hand beyond the canopy and let a raindrop hit your palm. It's cool, fleeting, light. It doesn't ask anything of you. It simply arrives and disappears. Feel how your palm doesn't resist it. It just receives it. That's the heart of acceptance. The Buddha often pointed to nature when talking about peace. He spoke of rivers that don't resist their path, even when they twist around rocks. He spoke of seasons that change with honesty, without apology or hesitation. He spoke of the sun rising every morning, not because it's told to, but because that's its nature. Everything in nature accepts its own unfolding. It doesn't cling to yesterday's warmth or fight tomorrow's cold. It just continues. You watch as the rain forms tiny streams that gather at the roots of nearby trees. The earth receives everything without complaint. The rain, the wind, the fallen leaves. It doesn't protest the weight of what it holds. It simply transforms it. That's what acceptance does to the heart. It turns resistance into peace. It turns heaviness into understanding. It turns chaos into clarity. As you breathe, you begin to feel a subtle shift inside you, a loosening you didn't expect. Maybe there's something in your life you've been fighting. Maybe there's a memory you haven't made peace with. Maybe there's a version of yourself you keep resisting. You don't have to fix any of it tonight. You don't have to force closure. Just allow it to exist. Just let it rain. Acceptance doesn't freeze you in place. It frees your energy. When you stop wasting strength on resisting reality, you suddenly have space to understand yourself more deeply, to see why you feel what you feel, to recognize patterns, wounds, and needs with honesty instead of judgment. The rain begins to slow, softening into a mist that clings to your skin. The world feels freshly washed, as if everything has been reset, cleared, made more transparent. You stand, the forest glistening around you, and feel something new rising within you. A quiet curiosity about yourself. Not the judgmental kind, not the self-critical kind, the gentle, honest curiosity that leads to true understanding. The Buddha knew that once you accept what is, you can finally see who you are beneath all the noise, expectations, and resistance. The rain stops entirely, leaving only the scent of wet earth. A narrow path reveals itself ahead, glowing faintly, as if lit by your own growing awareness. As the rain clears, the forest around you seems freshly washed, cleaner, softer, quieter. Acceptance has left a stillness inside you, a clearing where resistance used to sit. And in that stillness, something begins to rise naturally. The desire to understand yourself, not through the lens of pressure or expectation, but through honesty. Not harsh honesty, not self-critique, just truth seen with gentle eyes. The path ahead glows faintly, inviting you forward into a deeper kind of awareness. The path leads you to a small pool, tucked between moss-covered stones. The air is cool here, and the moonlight reflects off the water with a soft shimmer, like a mirror that exists just for you. This is where the Buddha taught the kind of honesty that heals rather than hurts, the kind that helps you meet yourself without judgment. You kneel beside the pool, watching your reflection ripple gently with each breath you take. Your face isn't perfectly still, but that's the truth of who you are, always changing, always shifting, always in motion. The Buddha understood that self-awareness begins not with analyzing, but with simply seeing, noticing, acknowledging, allowing. You lean closer, and the reflection becomes clearer. You notice the softness around your eyes, the quiet determination in your expression, the subtle exhaustion you've been carrying. And instead of critiquing it, you simply accept it. This is you, right now, in this moment. No masks, no roles, no pressure to be anything more or less. The Buddha taught that identity is like the surface of this pool, easy to disturb, easy to distort. When thoughts, fears, or expectations ripple across it, you lose sight of the truth. But when the mind settles, your reflection becomes clear again. You breathe, letting your body relax, letting your thoughts drift like leaves across the surface of the water. Honesty isn't about tearing yourself apart. It's about recognizing what's actually there. You acknowledge your strengths, the way you keep going even when life gets heavy, the way your heart still tries to be kind, the way you carry yourself through days that aren't gentle. You also acknowledge your struggles, the doubts that cloud your mind, the habits that weigh on you, the fears you keep quietly tucked away. This isn't weakness, it's awareness. The Buddha taught that awareness is the first step toward freedom. You can't let go of what you refuse to see. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge. And you can't understand who you are while running from your reflection. As the pool grows still again, you begin to notice something deeper. Even your reflection isn't you. Not entirely. It changes with every breath, with every ripple, with every shift of light. This is where the Buddha's insight becomes profound. You are not a fixed thing. You are a process, a flow, a constant becoming. Identity is not a solid object. It's a stream of experiences, choices, emotions, memories, conditions, and influences. It shifts constantly, just like the reflection in the pool. You're not the same person you were last year, or last month, or even yesterday. And that fluidity isn't something to fear, it's something to honor. Because if you are always changing, then you are never trapped, never stuck, never defined forever by a single moment. You touch the surface of the pool lightly, and the reflection breaks into shimmering fragments. But when the ripples fade, your face returns. New, slightly different, but still recognizably you. This is the nature of the self the Buddha spoke about. Not permanent, not fixed, not rigid. He taught that clinging to a solid identity, I am this, I must be that, I can't change, this defines me forever, creates unnecessary suffering. When you meet yourself honestly, you begin to see the truth. You are more spacious than any label, more fluid than any mistake, more open than any past version of yourself. You breathe deeply, letting that truth settle into your chest like warm light. You are not a static reflection. You are the water beneath it, vast, deep, and capable of endless change. From this honesty, another question naturally arises, one the Buddha explored with stunning clarity. If the self keeps changing, if it's made of shifting thoughts, emotions, roles, and stories, then what exactly is the self? Not in a confusing or philosophical way, in a freeing, dissolving, liberating way. The night air grows still as the path ahead brightens once more. The trees sway gently as if making space for the next teaching to arrive. You rise from the poolside, your reflection settling behind you like a friend you finally understand. Your heart is open. Your awareness is sharp. You're ready for the next truth. As you step away from the quiet pool, the image of your shifting reflection lingers in your mind, always changing, never holding the same shape for long. That gentle realization opens something inside you, the way a door clicks softly in the dark. You feel curiosity rising, not fear. If you aren't a fixed thing, then what are you? The forest grows still, the air warm against your skin, as the path leads you toward one of the Buddha's deepest teachings, the truth that frees the heart from the illusion of a solid, permanent self. The path brings you into a wide, silent field where the moon hangs enormous and bright in the sky. The grass ripples like waves when the wind moves through it, each blade bending, shifting, rising again. Nothing in this field stays still. Nothing holds the same shape from moment to moment. This is where the Buddha taught anatta, the truth of non-self. You walk slowly into the field, feeling the soft grass brush your legs. The air smells clean, like earth after rain. Every step you take changes the landscape beneath you. Every movement becomes part of a larger flow. The Buddha taught that what we call self isn't a solid, permanent thing. It's a collection of constantly changing processes. The body, thoughts, memories, sensations, emotions, habits, influences, experiences, all of them shifting, all of them impermanent, all of them interacting. You sit in the grass, watching how the wind passes through it. It never moves the same patch twice. It never settles in one shape. But the field remains a field. Your identity works the same way. You aren't the same person you were a year ago. Not the same person you were last week. Not even the same person you were this morning. Your thoughts shift. Your moods shift. Your roles shift. Your beliefs shift. Your body shifts. Your memories fade, reshape themselves, or drift away. Yet something inside you keeps thinking, this is me, one fixed thing, one solid identity. The Buddha saw this illusion clearly, and he understood how deeply it ties us to suffering. When you cling to a rigid idea of who you are, you feel threatened by change. When you cling to a story about yourself, you feel trapped inside it. When you cling to labels, good, bad, strong, weak, worthy, unworthy, you shrink yourself into something far too small. But the truth is softer, wider, more freeing. You are not a single story. You are not your past. You are not your thoughts. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not a fixed identity. You are a process, alive, shifting, unfolding, constantly transforming. You place your hand on your chest and feel your heartbeat. Even that rhythm changes from moment to moment. Your breath moves like the wind over the grass, never identical, always flowing. The Buddha described the self like a flame. It looks solid from a distance, but up close you can see it's constantly moving, constantly changing. Never the same flame twice. Or like a river. It has a name, a shape, a place, but the water inside it is always flowing, never still, never identical from one moment to the next. You imagine yourself as that river, your experiences flowing through you, shaping you, yet never defining you permanently. And something inside you relaxes. Suddenly, the pressure to be someone dissolves. The fear of changing softens. The weight of old labels falls away like sand slipping between your fingers. When you stop clinging to a fixed identity, you become free to grow, free to evolve, free to let go of versions of yourself that no longer fit, free to open into new ones that feel more aligned, more honest, more alive. In the moonlit field, the wind slows, the grass stills, you feel a deep spaciousness in your chest. Not emptiness, but openness. This is the gift of anatta. When you stop gripping the illusion of a solid self, inner peace becomes possible. You're no longer fighting change, you're flowing with it. And as you breathe into that openness, another truth gently rises. One the Buddha paired with non-self, like two sides of the same moonlit coin. Impermanence. The understanding that everything, the self, The world, every emotion, every moment is always changing, always moving, always in motion. The field shifts again as a breeze moves across it, sending a ripple through the grass like a wave across water. You watch it with new eyes, eyes that understand that nothing stays the same, yet nothing is lost. This realization leads you naturally to the next teaching. Not something to fear, but something to free you even more. You stand slowly, letting the wind brush past your skin, letting the truth of non-self settle in your heart like a quiet lantern. As the moonlit field fades behind you, the truth of non-self settles into your mind like a slow, calming exhale. You feel lighter, not because anything was taken away, but because you finally stopped gripping so tightly. And with that openness, you begin to notice something else. Everything around you is constantly shifting. The air, the light, your breath, your thoughts, nothing stays exactly the same. The Buddha didn't see this as something to fear, but as one of life's greatest freedoms. And as the path rises toward a gentle hill, you step into his teaching on impermanence. You reach the top of the hill just as a soft breeze moves across the grass, stirring it like an ocean of pale green waves. Above you, the night sky stretches wide and open, filled with drifting clouds illuminated faintly by the moon. They move slowly, effortlessly, reshaping themselves with every passing moment. No cloud holds its form. No cloud tries to stop time. This is impermanence, the Buddha's gentle reminder that everything changes. You lie back in the grass, letting the earth cradle your body. The clouds float overhead, and you watch as one dissolves into mist, while another forms from the darkness. Their movement is calm, natural, rhythmic, a perfect mirror of how life truly flows. The Buddha taught that clinging to what is temporary is like trying to hold a cloud in your hands. It's impossible. Everything we experience, joy, pain, fear, love, confusion, clarity, is like these clouds, arising, changing, passing. Not to punish you, not to test you, just because change is the nature of existence. A cool breeze passes over your face, and you feel it clearly. Even sensations shift moment by moment. No two breaths feel exactly the same. No heartbeat repeats itself perfectly. No thought stays forever. Everything flows. At first, impermanence can feel scary. You might think, if everything changes, what can I count on? But the Buddha meant for this teaching to bring relief, not fear. Because if everything changes, then pain does not last forever. Fear does not last forever. Loneliness does not last forever. Old patterns do not last forever. Even the heavy moments eventually drift, soften, dissolve. You watch a long, wispy cloud detach from its cluster and glide across the sky. It stretches, thins, and fades into nothing. Just like emotions do when you stop holding on to them. Just like memories when you stop replaying them. Just like expectations when you release their grip on your heart. Impermanence is not a threat, it's a promise. A promise that nothing is stuck. A promise that everything can shift. A promise that change is possible, always. The Buddha saw beauty in this transience. He compared life to morning dew, to blossoms opening at dawn, to candle flames flickering in the dark. Short-lived, yes, but meaningful because of that. If every moment lasted forever, nothing would feel precious. You turn your head slightly, feeling the grass brush your cheek. That sensation is new, different from a moment ago. You notice how the breeze changes temperature, how the cricket chirps grow louder, then fade, how your own thoughts drift into quieter shapes. Everything is movement. Everything is transition. Everything is a cycle. The Buddha encouraged people to observe impermanence in small ways. The melting of a snowflake, the fall of a leaf, the shift of a shadow, the aging of a fruit, the way laughter comes and goes. When you see these changes clearly, you stop trying to freeze life into one shape. You breathe, and as your chest rises, you feel a wave of ease. Because impermanence also means you are not bound by who you used to be. You are allowed to grow, allowed to heal, allowed to let things fade that no longer serve you. Clouds roll across the sky like slow-moving stories, appearing, reshaping, disappearing. Your thoughts do the same. So do your emotions. So do the circumstances in your life. When you stop fighting change, you stop suffering. When you move with it, you find peace. When you understand it, you gain freedom. Another cloud drifts across the moon, dimming the light for a moment, but then the wind shifts and the moon glows bright again. Impermanence isn't just about endings. It's also about beginnings. Every disappearance makes space for something new. And because of that, the Buddha taught that impermanence naturally leads to gratitude. Gratitude for what exists, because it won't last forever. Gratitude for what fades, because its leaving makes room for growth. Gratitude for every breath, every moment, every connection, transient but precious. You sit up slowly, watching the clouds drift like soft lanterns across the sky. Your heart feels lighter. Your mind feels quieter. The world feels more alive, more delicate, more meaningful. And from this awareness, gratitude begins to rise. Not forced, not performative, but natural. Like a warm current flowing up from the center of your chest. You stand, letting the breeze brush past you once more, and take a slow step forward. The path glows faintly ahead, inviting, gentle, warm. As the shifting clouds fade behind you, their lessons still echo gently inside your chest. The truth of impermanence has softened the tight places in your heart. Everything changes. Everything moves. Everything passes. And in that awareness, something new begins to rise. Appreciation. Not the loud kind, not the forced kind, but the quiet recognition of how precious each moment really is. The path curves gently downward, lined with small flowers opening in the moonlight, inviting you into the Buddha's next teaching, the blessing of gratitude. The path brings you to a peaceful hillside overlooking a valley bathed in soft, silver blue light. The moon is high, the night air cool, and the world feels like it's holding its breath in perfect stillness. As you sit on the grassy slope, you notice how the earth beneath you is firm, how the sky above is gentle, how the moment itself feels complete. Nothing missing, nothing extra. This is the heart of gratitude, not waiting for life to become perfect, but recognizing the quiet blessings already here. The Buddha taught that gratitude isn't about pretending everything is good. It's about acknowledging the goodness that still exists, even in the middle of uncertainty. Gratitude is a softening, a warm, steadying presence that shifts the heart back into balance. You take a slow breath and feel the cool night air fill your lungs. That breath alone is a gift. This moment alone is a gift. This calm, this stillness, this quiet clarity, all gifts. Your mind begins to settle into a gentle awareness. The way the grass bends under your fingers, the way the moon lights the valley in delicate strokes, the way your breath rises and falls like a tide, the way your body feels supported by the earth itself. Gratitude isn't dramatic. It's subtle, steady, grounding. The Buddha often asked his students to pause and consider the simplest things: the food that nourishes you, the shelter that protects you, the people who've shown you kindness, the strength that kept you going on difficult days, the breath that has stayed with you since the moment you were born. Each of these things, so ordinary, so constant, is easy to overlook. Yet they form the fabric of your life. When you bring awareness to them, the heart naturally fills with warmth. You close your eyes for a moment and allow yourself to remember one small thing from today that made you feel even a little lighter. It might be tiny. A quiet moment, a gentle word, a bit of sunlight, a smile. Hold it softly in your mind. Feel how it warms your chest from the inside. Gratitude works like a lantern, not bright enough to blind, but warm enough to guide. Even when life feels uncertain, gratitude shows you what remains solid, what remains supportive, what remains good. The hillside breeze brushes gently against your skin. You can smell the faint sweetness of a night blooming flowers opening all around you. You hear the low hum of insects, calm and steady, like nature itself is whispering, "Pay attention. This moment matters." You lean back slightly and allow yourself to be held by the earth. Feel its solidity. Feel its patience. Feel its quiet generosity. The Buddha understood that a grateful heart becomes calmer, less reactive, less tangled in grasping and resisting. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's here, and in doing so, it eases suffering almost instantly. You begin to notice gratitude not just in the good moments, but in the difficult ones too. Gratitude for lessons learned, for strength gained, for the resilience that emerges during hardship. Even challenges carry something meaningful when seen through a soft, steady lens. You breathe again, long and slow, and your mind feels clearer. Your heart feels fuller. Your body feels lighter. The valley below you shimmers faintly as the moonlight drifts across it. Every detail, every shadow, every blade of grass, every distant tree feels alive and meaningful. Gratitude has that effect. It sharpens beauty, deepens presence, and calms the mind. And then, gently, the Buddha invites you into the next natural step. Because once gratitude settles in your heart, it opens the door to patience. The ease of slowing down, the trust in your own unfolding, the ability to let life move at its natural pace. Gratitude says, this moment is enough. Patience says, and I don't need to rush to the next. You stand slowly, feeling balanced and steady as you rise. The path ahead glows softly, lit by warm golden fireflies drifting just above the ground. They flicker, like tiny reminders that every step of your journey carries something to appreciate. With a calm breath and a grateful heart, you walk forward into the night. As you rise from the hill and let gratitude settle fully into your chest, something shifts in your pace. You no longer feel pulled forward by urgency or weighed down by the past. The night around you seems to slow with you. The breeze gentler, the sounds softer, the world moving at a pace that finally feels natural. The Buddha knew that once gratitude softens the heart, the next gift naturally appears. Patience, the kind that isn't forced, but lived. And so, with the moon guiding your steps, you walk toward the teaching of moving slowly. The path brings you into a wide meadow where the grass grows tall and golden, swaying in slow, easy waves. The wind here doesn't rush, it drifts, it hums, it touches everything gently, as if reminding the world that there is no need to hurry. This place feels like time itself has taken a breath and relaxed. You walk forward and feel how naturally your body begins to match the rhythm around you. Slower steps, deeper breaths, a kind of internal unwinding that happens without effort. This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching on patience. Not restraint, not waiting with frustration, but moving at the pace that life actually happens. Patience, as the Buddha taught, is not passive. It's powerful. It's the strength of choosing steadiness over panic, presence over rushing, softness over force. You settle into the tall grass, feeling it brush against your arms as you sit. Each blade bends with the breeze, then rises again without resistance. This is patience, the willingness to move with life instead of fighting it, the willingness to let everything unfold in its own time. Think about all the moments you felt like you had to rush, to heal faster, to understand quicker, to grow sooner, to figure it out immediately. That pressure pulls you out of the present moment and into a future that doesn't even exist yet. The Buddha saw how often people hurt themselves with urgency, tightening their minds, stressing their bodies, judging their progress. So, he taught patience as a form of compassion, a gift you give yourself. The wind shifts softly, and the grass moves like a slow tide across the meadow. You breathe, you slow, you allow. Patience doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or staying stuck. It means trusting your pace, trusting your timing, trusting that growth has seasons, just like the earth. The Buddha often pointed to nature to explain this. A seed doesn't bloom the moment it's planted. A caterpillar doesn't rush its own transformation. The moon doesn't rise by force. It takes its time, and still the sky waits patiently for its light. You look up and see the moon resting high above you now, a symbol of calm consistency. It takes hours to move across the sky, yet it never doubts its path. It knows moving slowly doesn't mean not moving at all. It means moving with intention. You feel your breath settle deeper. Your body loosens. Your mind quiets. Patience is a kind of faith, not in something external, but in yourself, in your ability to keep going without needing everything to happen right now, in your ability to be enough, even when life feels slow, in your ability to trust the unfolding of your own journey. You notice the sounds of the meadow, the soft rustle of grass, the quiet chirps of night insects, the distant hoot of an owl. None of these sounds rush. None of them stress. None of them demand. They exist in the rhythm of the present moment, and you feel yourself sinking to that rhythm more and more. Patience invites you to rest inside that rhythm, even when challenges arise, even when delays appear, even when life refuses to arrive on your timeline. Patience doesn't remove obstacles, but it removes the suffering around those obstacles. It turns frustration into understanding. It turns pressure into peace. And from this patience, something new begins to form inside you. A quiet strength, the kind that bends without breaking, the kind that endures without becoming hard, the kind that gets back up without rushing the process. The Buddha called this resilience, the gentle strength born from patience. You run your hand through the tall grass and feel how easily it yields to your touch, only to rise again once your hand passes. This is resilience in nature, and it mirrors resilience in the human heart. Slowly, you stand, feeling steadier than before. Your breath is deep, your steps unhurried, your mind anchored. You realize that patience isn't about waiting. It's about walking through life with enough softness to endure its storms without losing yourself. The path ahead glows faintly as the wind nudges you toward it. You can sense the next teaching rising like a small flame inside you, the strength that comes from bending, not breaking. As you leave the slow-moving meadow behind, the ease of patience continues to hum gently in your chest. Each step feels softer, more intentional, more aligned with the pace your heart actually wants to move at. And in that softness, you begin to notice a new kind of strength emerging. Not the rigid, brittle strength you force, but the quiet, flexible kind that grows from within. The Buddha understood this deeply. Patience opens the door to resilience. And ahead, swaying gently in the moonlight, the bamboo forest begins. The path leads you into a grove of tall bamboo rising high into the night sky, their slender trunks whispering softly as the wind moves between them. Unlike the heavy trees you've passed, these bamboo stalks bend easily with every breeze. They sway, they lean, they shift, but they do not break. This is the Buddha's teaching on resilience. You step inside the grove, and immediately the air feels different, cooler, cleaner, alive with a quiet strength. The bamboo moves together like a single living organism, each stalk connected to the earth by deep, stable roots. They don't resist the wind. They don't fight the storm. They flow with it. The Buddha taught resilience not as toughness, but as flexibility, the wisdom of bending without losing your foundation. You place your hand on one of the bamboo trunks. It feels smooth and cool, slightly springy beneath your touch. When you apply the gentlest pressure, the bamboo leans with you, then returns gracefully to its original place. This is its strength. It doesn't try to be rigid. It doesn't try to be unmoving. It survives by adapting. People often misunderstand resilience as brute force, pushing through, holding on, being strong no matter what. But the Buddha recognized a different truth. Rigid things break. The mind that refuses to bend under hardship eventually snaps. The heart that clings too tightly eventually cracks. Wisdom teaches you to bend. You walk deeper into the grove, listening to the bamboo sway and whisper. Their movement is rhythmic, hypnotic, grounding. It reminds you of all the times you've endured things you thought would break you, but didn't. Not because you were hard, but because you softened where you could, because you adapted, because you let go just enough to stay whole. Resilience doesn't mean you didn't struggle. It means you kept moving through the struggle. It means you allowed yourself to feel without collapsing. It means your spirit bent but didn't break. You breathe slowly, and the bamboo around you seems to breathe with you. The Buddha taught that resilience comes from wisdom, the understanding that life will always bring change, challenge, loss, uncertainty, and discomfort. Resilience is the choice to meet these realities gently instead of aggressively, to trust your ability to move with life rather than trying to overpower it. A stronger wind blows through the grove now, making the bamboo lean dramatically. They tilt until it seems they might fall, but then the wind passes and they rise again with no strain, no shaking, no hesitation. You realize this is what inner peace looks like in motion. Not fragile, not rigid, flexible, adaptable, alive. You close your eyes and feel the metaphor settle inside your chest. Where do you need to bend more? Where have you been holding yourself too tightly? Where could softness give you more strength than resistance? You inhale deeply, letting these questions float through your mind without pressure. The bamboo whispers softly above you, as if reminding you that growth often happens in the middle of motion, not stillness. Your challenges didn't break you because you shifted with them, sometimes without even realizing it. The Buddha knew resilience wasn't something to force. It was something to cultivate by living in alignment with truth. When you understand impermanence, you stop expecting stability from unstable things. When you understand non-self, you stop clinging to old identities. When you practice patience, you learn to move slowly through storms without panic. And all this understanding becomes the foundation of resilience. You sit at the base of a large bamboo cluster, feeling the earth beneath you. Firm, steady, present. The bamboo sways above you, creating a soft, rustling canopy. You feel safe here, supported, rooted, yet flexible. As you rest in this quiet strength, a new feeling begins to rise inside you. Something softer than resilience, something gentler than endurance. A sense of contentment, not excitement, not achievement, just a subtle, satisfying enoughness. The Buddha taught that when resilience grows, contentment follows. Because once you trust your ability to bend with life, you stop grasping for more. You begin to appreciate what already exists. The wind calms, the bamboo stands tall, and the path beyond the grove begins to glow with warm, peaceful light. You stand, carrying the bamboo's wisdom with you. Flexible spine, steady breath, open heart. As you step out of the bamboo grove, the gentle strength you found there lingers in your chest like a steady heartbeat. The wind quiets, the night opens wider, and with each soft footstep, you feel a growing sense of ease. Not excitement, not relief, just a quiet, I'm okay. This is the natural next gift the Buddha taught. When you learn to bend with life instead of breaking, you discover something subtle and precious. Contentment, not the loud kind, the soft, steady kind that rises all on its own. The path brightens, guiding you into that simplicity. The trail opens into a gentle valley dotted with small wild flowers. They aren't grand or colorful, soft whites, pale blues, muted yellows, but their quiet beauty fits the night perfectly. The moonlight rests on them like a blessing, and the air carries a faint sweetness that makes you instinctively breathe deeper. This valley isn't impressive. It's not dramatic. And that's exactly the point. The Buddha taught that contentment doesn't come from more achievements, more possessions, more validation, more noise. True contentment comes from less, from noticing what's already here, from recognizing that peace often lives in places we overlook because they aren't loud enough to grab our attention. You walk between the flowers, and the simplicity of the moment washes over you like warm water. No pressure, no rush. Just being here. Just breathing. You take a seat on a small rock near a cluster of blossoms. You run your fingers gently over the soft petals, and for a moment, nothing else matters. Not the past, not what comes next, not the internal noise that usually occupies your mind. This is contentment, being fully present with something small and letting it be enough. The Buddha understood that the mind constantly reaches for bigger, better, faster. It chases the next moment, the next feeling, the next accomplishment, believing happiness is always somewhere else. But in doing so, the mind misses the quiet richness already surrounding it. Contentment begins when you stop searching for life to impress you and start appreciating the life that's actually here. You look around the valley, the slow dance of grass in the night wind, the distant hum of insects, the gentle curve of hills against the sky, nothing dramatic. Yet everything feels peaceful. The Buddha often meditated in places like this, not palaces, not mountains of grandeur, but simple natural spaces where the mind could rest. He taught that when we strip away the cravings for more, what remains is a soft, honest joy. A joy that's calm. A joy that doesn't need applause. A joy that's rooted in being alive. As you breathe in slowly, you feel that joy begin to warm the center of your chest. It's not intense. It's not overwhelming. It's steady, like a lantern held close to the heart. Contentment is the realization that you don't need everything to be perfect to feel at peace. You don't need every question answered or every wound healed. You don't need to be extraordinary. Being here, breathing, noticing, existing is enough. You pick up a small flower that's fallen onto the ground. Not plucked, just resting there. Its petals are delicate, almost translucent in the moonlight. You hold it gently and notice how something so simple can still feel so beautiful. This is a core part of the Buddha's teaching. Simplicity reveals beauty. Simplicity reveals peace. Simplicity reveals truth. When the mind quiets, joy becomes easier to see. You feel your breath deepen again, and with it comes the sense that your heart is becoming less cluttered. Not empty, just spacious. Not numb, just peaceful. Contentment isn't the absence of desire. It's the loosening of it. The moment you realize you don't need every desire fulfilled to feel whole. The moment you see how much sweetness already exists in the life you have. As you sit in the soft glow of the valley, you notice something else rising. A sense of connection. Not to a person, not to a goal, but to everything around you. The earth, the wind, the flowers, the night. Contentment naturally flows into harmony. When you're at ease with yourself, you begin to feel more at ease with the world. You stand, gently brushing the dirt from your hands. A soft breeze moves through the valley, brushing your skin, rustling the flowers, carrying with it the feeling that everything around you is moving in its own rhythm, a rhythm you're part of. The path at the far end of the valley begins to glow faintly, as if inviting you to follow this sense of connection even further. Contentment has softened your heart. Now it's ready to open to a wider harmony with all beings. As you leave the quiet valley of contentment, the warmth in your chest doesn't fade, it spreads. With every step, you feel more connected, not just to yourself, but to everything around you. The night air feels alive in a new way, as if the world is softly breathing with you. Contentment has opened your heart. Now, it begins to stretch outward, reaching beyond your own experience. And the forest ahead calls you into the Buddha's next teaching, the art of living gently with all beings. The path takes you into a forest that feels different from the others you've walked through tonight. This one hums with a quiet, balanced rhythm, a gentle chorus of crickets, the soft hoot of an owl in the distance, leaves whispering in the breeze, branches creaking in slow, natural shifts. Everything here coexists without conflict. Everything has a place. Everything flows in harmony. You walk slowly beneath tall trees, whose trunks glow faintly under the moonlight. Their branches intertwine overhead, not competing for space, but sharing it, creating an archway of interwoven life. The Buddha often compared harmony to a forest. Countless beings, countless rhythms, countless needs, yet all functioning together without force. You stop for a moment and simply listen. No part of this forest tries to overpower another. No creature demands that everything revolve around it. No sound seeks to drown out all others. This is the essence of harmony. The Buddha taught that living in harmony doesn't mean always agreeing or always feeling peaceful. It means moving through the world in a way that reduces harm, increases understanding, and creates space for others to exist as they are. You take a deep breath, letting the forest air fill your lungs. There is something humbling about standing among so many beings, insects, animals, plants, unseen lives, all sharing the same air, the same soil, the same night. Harmony begins with recognizing this interconnectedness. The Buddha described life as a vast web, where every action sends ripples through the whole. A kind word softens unseen hearts. A gentle action calms someone's day. A moment of understanding prevents a storm of conflict. Small things matter deeply. You step off the main path and into a glade where fireflies drift through the air like floating stars. They illuminate the space in slow pulses, creating a quiet rhythm of light. Watching them, you realize that harmony isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. Fireflies don't all glow at once. They don't follow a commander. They simply respond to each other, creating a dance shaped by the moment. You walk through them carefully, not disturbing their gentle patterns. This is coexistence, the awareness that you are part of the world, not separate from it. The Buddha taught 4 qualities that form the foundation of harmonious living. 1. Kindness, a simple respect for all life. Not because you owe it, but because everything is fragile in its own way. 2. Compassion, seeing the struggles of others and recognizing the shared humanity or shared beingness beneath them. 3. Joy in others' joy, celebrating, not resenting, the happiness of others. Understanding that another's success does not diminish your own path. 4. Equanimity, holding your heart steady, even when others are in conflict, allowing you to respond with clarity instead of impulse. As these qualities rise in your awareness, you feel the forest almost respond. A soft breeze stirs, carrying the scent of earth and pine. The trees sway gently, moving in time with one another, like they're breathing together. You sit on a fallen log and feel the roughness of its bark under your palm. This tree once stood tall among the others, and now it nourishes the forest floor, feeding insects, moss, and new shoots. In harmony, everything supports everything else in its own way. You ask yourself quietly, where in my life can I move more gently? Where can I listen instead of react? Where can I make space for others to be who they are, without trying to control or change them? These aren't questions of guilt. They're invitations to breathe deeper into connection. As you reflect, you realize harmony isn't about erasing your own needs. It's about balancing them with the needs of others. It's about understanding that you are one thread in a vast tapestry, important, but not the whole picture. And that understanding brings a deep sense of peace. Eventually, you rise from the log and continue walking. The fireflies thin out, and the forest grows even more serene. You notice how your footsteps match the natural rhythm around you. No rushing, no harshness, just quiet presence. This harmony leads naturally to the Buddha's next teaching, wisdom. Because once you learn to coexist gently with all beings, your mind becomes clear enough to see truth without distortion. The trees part ahead, and a faint, warm light glows in the distance, steady, calm, illuminating the path. As you move beyond the forest of harmony, the night seems to open wider, as if space itself is clearing a path just for you. Living gently with all beings has quieted something inside you, a kind of inner noise you didn't even realize you were carrying. And in that quiet, a soft glow begins to form, not from the moon, not from fireflies, but from somewhere deep within your own awareness. The Buddha knew this glow well. It is wisdom, the light that slowly, naturally illuminates the path ahead. The path brings you to a small rise in the land where a single stone lantern stands, its warm flame flickering gently behind a carved lattice. It glows with a steady calm, not bright enough to blind, but warm enough to guide. The Buddha often compared wisdom to a lamp, something quiet, something steady, something that doesn't shout, but simply shines. You sit beside the lantern, feeling its warmth brush your skin. This flame isn't dramatic. It doesn't demand your attention. It just exists, offering its glow to anyone who draws near. This is what true wisdom feels like. Not loud, not boastful, but quietly transformative. The Buddha taught that wisdom isn't something you chase. It's something that naturally grows the more your heart softens and your mind clears. Everything you've learned so far, patience, compassion, equanimity, contentment, has been preparing the ground for wisdom to rise. Because wisdom isn't just knowing facts or memorizing teachings. Wisdom is seeing life clearly, as it is, without distortion, without fear, without the fog of craving or resistance. You take a slow breath and feel your mind settle like calm water. The lantern's flame reflects in your eyes, dancing gently in your vision. As you watch it flicker, you notice how the flame moves, but never loses itself. That movement is part of its life. It doesn't fight it. The Buddha said, wisdom begins with seeing things as they truly are, impermanent, interconnected, shifting, alive. When you see this clearly, your reactions change. You cling less. You fear less. You understand more. You reach out and place your hand on the stone base of the lantern. It's cool and solid beneath your palm. The flame above it moves freely, yet the lantern stays grounded. Wisdom is like this balance, grounded insight paired with flexible awareness. Think of the moments in your life when clarity suddenly appeared, a realization that softened your chest, an understanding that arrived like a sunrise, a truth that made your world feel simpler, lighter, more honest. Those moments weren't forced. They emerged from your lived experience. Wisdom grows when the mind is ready, and your mind is ready now. As you breathe, you begin to sense how all the teachings so far are connected. Mindfulness helps you see. Patience helps you stay steady. Compassion opens your heart. Letting go frees your mind. Harmony softens your presence. Contentment quiets your craving. And together, they create space for wisdom to rise naturally, like a flame catching at last after long preparation. You watch the lantern flicker again, and the light expands just enough to reveal the path ahead. Not the whole trail, just the next few steps. This is exactly how wisdom works. It doesn't give you every answer for the rest of your life. It gives you clarity for the present moment, enough to move forward, enough to breathe, enough to choose with awareness. The Buddha often said, when wisdom arises, suffering falls away. Not instantly, not completely, but step by step, moment by moment. Just like the lantern illuminating only a small part of the path, you let this truth settle into you like warm tea spreading through your chest. Wisdom isn't about control. It's about understanding. And understanding brings peace. The wind shifts slightly, making the flame dance higher, casting a soft glow over your face. You close your eyes for a moment and feel that inner glow reflected within your own heart, a quiet intuition, a whisper of truth, a sense of direction. Even if you don't know the whole journey, you know this moment, you know this breath, you know this clarity, and that is enough. When you open your eyes again, you notice something subtle. The lantern's glow blends with your own awareness. The boundary between outer flame and inner insight grows thin. Wisdom isn't something outside you. It has always been inside you, waiting for space to shine. The night grows softer, and you realize that wisdom naturally leads somewhere deeper, into a kind of serenity that comes from trusting what you now understand. A peace not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in clarity. The lantern's light stretches down the path, illuminating a gentle downward slope surrounded by quiet trees. As you walk away from the lantern of wisdom, the night grows even quieter, not empty, but full of stillness. The kind of stillness that feels like it's been waiting for you. Understanding has softened your mind, and the path beneath your feet feels gentler, steadier. With each breath, you feel your awareness sinking deeper into your chest, settling into a calm that doesn't depend on anything outside you. This is where the Buddha's next teaching unfolds, the deep peace that arises when wisdom and compassion rest together in the heart. The path leads you into a clearing surrounded by tall, ancient trees whose branches form a protective dome overhead. Moonlight filters through the leaves in soft, scattered beams, making the air shimmer as if filled with tiny blessings. At the center of the clearing sits a smooth stone, inviting you to rest. You settle onto it, feeling the cool surface anchor your body, the earth steady beneath you. Here, the world feels hushed, as if nature itself has entered meditation. The Buddha taught that deep peace isn't something you chase or create. It's something you uncover. It's already inside you, covered by layers of noise, fear, distraction, and craving. When those layers soften through mindfulness, compassion, patience, wisdom, the peace underneath becomes clear, quiet, unmistakable. You close your eyes, letting your breath deepen, letting your shoulders drop. Inhale, slow and steady. Exhale, even slower. Your mind begins to settle into its natural rhythm. At first, the peace feels small, a faint glow somewhere behind your ribs. But as you stay with your breath, that glow widens. It spreads upward into your chest, outward into your arms, downward into your legs, until your whole body feels wrapped in a warm, gentle calm. This is the peace the Buddha spoke of, not the absence of challenges, not the erasing of pain, but a stillness beneath it all, a refuge you can return to, a place inside you that life can't shake. You notice the sounds around you, the soft rustle of leaves overhead, the distant hum of insects, the faint whisper of wind through the trees. Nothing loud, nothing demanding, everything simply existing. This is the same state your mind enters when wisdom becomes steady, where thoughts can rise and fall without grabbing you, where emotions can swell and fade without overwhelming you, where awareness stays open and relaxed. The Buddha described this inner peace as a clear lake at dawn. When the wind stops and the water stills, the surface reflects the world without distortion. Your mind works the same way. When thoughts quiet, truth becomes visible. You breathe again, and with every inhale, you feel your body soften, your mind expand, your heart open. You're not trying to force anything. Peace grows naturally in the absence of struggle. Sometimes the deepest peace is simply the permission to rest. And as you rest in this quiet, a familiar warmth begins to rise again, the gentle, glowing compassion you encountered earlier. Only now, it feels different, fuller, softer, more rooted. Because compassion grounded in peace is stronger than compassion strained through effort. You let that warmth fill your chest. It radiates outward like the sun rising inside you, gentle, patient, healing. You remember, compassion isn't just for others. It's for you too, especially in these quiet moments when your mind finally feels safe enough to let its guard down. You place a hand over your heart, feeling the steady rhythm beneath your palm. Every beat reminds you that you are alive, that you are here, that you carry everything you need within your own being. The capacity for peace, for kindness, for understanding. The Buddha taught that when the mind rests in peace, compassion becomes effortless. It flows naturally, like water downhill. It doesn't exhaust you, it nourishes you. You let compassion fill the clearing, a soft glow, expanding into the trees, the ground, the night sky. Not because you're trying, but because peace makes generosity easy. As the glow spreads, the clearing feels warmer, brighter, almost sacred. You realize that this is the inner sanctuary people search for without knowing where it is. It's not in a temple or a monastery. It's not in a perfect moment. It's here, in your own chest. It's always been here. Deep peace doesn't remove you from the world. It prepares you to re-enter it with clarity, gentleness, and strength. Eventually, you open your eyes, and the clearing looks different. Not because it changed, but because you did. The night seems softer. The air seems warmer. Everything feels connected by an invisible quiet. You stand slowly, carrying that peace within you like a soft flame protected by cupped hands. And as you walk toward the next path leading out of the clearing, you notice the Buddha's teachings shifting once again, moving you from inward stillness toward the ways this peace can shape how you move through the world. Ahead, a gentle glow lights the way. As you leave the clearing of deep peace, the warmth in your chest follows you like a steady ember. The night feels different now, not just quiet, but intimate, as if something inside you has finally softened enough to hear what the heart has been whispering all along. Wisdom has calmed your mind. Peace has steadied your breath. And now, something deeper calls you back inward. This is where the Buddha gently guides you to return, not to the beginning, but to the center, to the heart. The path guides you into a valley lit by a soft, natural glow. Not moonlight, not fire, but something warmer and more diffused, like light filtered through petals. You follow a narrow walkway lined with small white blossoms. each one opening slowly as you pass, as if greeting you back to a place you've visited many times without realizing it. This valley is quiet in a way that feels familiar, not silent, alive, gently breathing, but familiar in the way the inside of your own chest feels familiar. The Buddha taught this when all the outer teachings have been integrated: mindfulness, compassion, wisdom, equanimity, patience. You eventually circle back to the heart, because awakening isn't found outside of you. It's found within your own capacity to love, understand, and be present. You take a slow breath, and it feels like your heart expands, welcoming you in. Earlier, you touched compassion as a warm light. You learned how it rises naturally when your mind softens, how it opens with understanding, how it breathes with patience. But now, as you step deeper into this valley, compassion is no longer a single teaching. It's the thread that connects everything you've learned. Compassion shows you how to treat your own pain. Wisdom shows you how to understand it. Equanimity teaches you how to hold it without drowning. Letting go frees you from gripping it. Patience gives it time to unfold. And love, the deepest love, gives it meaning. You sit on a wide, smooth stone surrounded by blooming flowers. The petals glow faintly, reflecting your breath like they're moving with you. The valley feels like a heartbeat, slow, steady, warm. The Buddha taught that we suffer when we separate the mind from the heart, when we try to think our way out of wounds that need compassion, or feel our way through patterns that need clarity. Returning to the heart means letting both work together. You place a hand over your chest. Feel the steady pulse. Feel the warmth beneath your palm. Feel the quiet honesty of being here. The heart doesn't rush. The heart doesn't hide. The heart doesn't demand perfection. It only asks you to be present with what is real. You breathe again, and a memory rises. Maybe one of kindness, maybe one of pain, maybe one of longing. Whatever it is, notice how the heart responds. Not with blame, not with judgment, with recognition, with tenderness. Compassion isn't something you force. It's something you remember. As you sit in the valley, you begin to see how compassion has woven itself through your entire journey tonight. When you practiced mindfulness, you were kind to your wandering mind. When you learned patience, you gave yourself room to breathe. When you embraced impermanence, you stopped punishing yourself for changing. When you found contentment, you softened your need for more. When you learned harmony, you made space for others to be themselves. All of that was compassion in motion. The Buddha taught that awakening doesn't require you to transcend the world. It requires you to open the heart enough to truly feel it. To feel your own humanity. To feel the humanity of others. To feel the breath of life in all things. The valley around you pulses with warmth, as if echoing the truth you're discovering. Your heart has always been your guide, even when you didn't know it, even when it felt covered by doubt or fear, even when it hurt, especially when it hurt. You inhale deeply, and the warmth expands until you feel connected to everything around you. The flowers, the earth, the night sky, the memories inside you, the people you've loved the people who've hurt you, the moments that shaped you, the moments you've forgotten. This connection isn't overwhelming. It's steady. It's grounding. It's the heart beginning to wake. The Buddha taught that compassion and wisdom are like two wings. You need both to rise, both to see clearly, both to awaken. Compassion without wisdom can become blindness. Wisdom without compassion becomes coldness. But together, they create the kind of understanding that frees you from suffering. You feel that balance settling into you now, a merging of clarity and warmth, insight and love, truth and tenderness. The valley glows brighter for a moment, like the world is recognizing your shift. Eventually, you rise from the stone, carrying the warmth of the valley in your chest. The blossoms rustle softly as you step past them, as if whispering encouragement. The path ahead curves upward, leading you toward a new height. The place where the Shoikit, Buddha, reveals how all these teachings begin to merge into awakening. As you climb the gentle rise beyond the valley of the heart, the air grows lighter, almost luminous. Each step feels softer than the last, not because the ground has changed, but because you have. Compassion has rooted you. Wisdom has steadied you. Peace has opened something deep inside. And now, as the world grows quieter around you, you begin to sense what the Buddha meant by awakening. Not a sudden flash, not an achievement, but a slow, natural unfolding. Like dawn, like petals opening in their own time. The path leads you to a small plateau overlooking the entire landscape of your journey. The forests, the fields, the bamboo, the meadows, the quiet glades of rain and stillness. The moon sits low on the horizon, its light softening into a pale gold that hints at the first breath of dawn. Everything feels suspended between night and morning. This is the space where awakening begins. You sit on a smooth stone, warmed faintly by the night's passing. The air around you carries a calm that feels almost sacred. Not heavy, not intense, just soft, spacious, honest. The Buddha taught that awakening isn't a single moment. It's a gradual opening of the heart and mind. A quiet realization that grows with each breath. A deeper clarity that emerges when you stop forcing life to be different and begin to see it as it truly is. Think of a flower opening at dawn. It doesn't rush. It doesn't force its petals apart. It unfolds because the conditions are right. Warmth, light, stillness. Your journey has created those same conditions. Mindfulness steadied your awareness. Compassion warmed your heart. Letting go loosened your grip on the past. Wisdom cleared the fog around your perception. Peace softened your inner world. Resilience kept you steady through the changes. And returning to the heart brought you back to the source of it all. Awakening doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need thunder or revelation. It can be as simple as this moment. Sitting in quiet clarity, breathing slowly, realizing that you see more clearly than before. You notice a soft glow rising in the sky. Not sunlight yet, but the faintest hint of it. The world is beginning to shift. Light is preparing to break through. This is the feeling of awakening. A soft brightening, a gentle widening, a subtle warmth inside the chest. a sense that something is quietly aligning. The Buddha often described awakening as knowing and seeing things as they truly are, not through fear, not through desire, but through calm, open presence. From this higher vantage point, the entire landscape below you feels connected. The valleys that taught contentment, the forests that taught harmony, the groves that taught compassion, the lakes that taught concentration. Every step mattered. Every moment shaped you. Nothing was wasted. Awakening is simply the ability to see how everything fits together. You breathe slowly, and the breath feels clearer than before, lighter, easier, like air moving through an uncluttered space. Your thoughts drift gently, not pulling you into stories. Your emotions rise and fall like soft waves without overwhelming you. Even your body feels quieter, as if it's resting in its natural rhythm. This is awakening in its earliest form. Awareness without struggle. Presence without pressure. Clarity without force. You turn your attention inward and feel a soft light rising behind your ribs. Not a real light, but a sense of spaciousness, a gentle brightness. It's the heart beginning to unfold, the mind beginning to soften, the inner world beginning to align with the truth of your experience. Awakening isn't escaping the world, it's understanding it, understanding yourself, understanding the nature of change, of suffering, of compassion, of peace. It's seeing that everything you've been searching for has been moving quietly within you all along. The sky brightens a little more, a subtle shift of color where moonlight blends with the first shy blues of dawn. The plateau feels warmer. The landscape begins to reveal detail, shadows lifting, shapes emerging, the world gently waking up with you. You feel something soften in your chest, something that says, it doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be true. And truth, in this moment, is simple. You are awakening. Not in a rush, not in a flash, but like a dawn, rising slowly, naturally, in its own time. This gentle unfolding prepares you for the last stages of the journey, the closing reflections, the return to rest, the integration of everything you've learned tonight. The path ahead brightens, glowing with the first breath of morning. As the sky continues to brighten, the last traces of night soften into pale gold. The world below you begins to stir, not loudly, but gently, like a long breath, finally exhaled. Awakening has unfolded inside you like a slow sunrise, warming places that had remained cold for years. And now, as the horizon opens fully, the Buddha's path begins to weave itself together. All the steps, all the softness, all the lessons merging into one quiet truth. You're ready to see the whole journey at once. You take a few steps forward onto the plateau, and the early morning light spills across the landscape, revealing every place you've traveled tonight. The forest where you learned to breathe, the bamboo grove where you found resilience, the quiet pond that reflected your shifting identity, the rain-washed glade of acceptance, the warm valley of the heart. Every path, every teaching, every moment feels connected now, threads woven into a single tapestry. This is what inner freedom feels like. Not one lesson, not one revelation, but the gentle accumulation of clarity. You stand at the edge of the plateau and breathe slowly. The air is cool but welcoming. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky is preparing for it. Streaks of pink and pale orange gathering along the horizon. The world feels open, spacious, honest. The Buddha often taught that inner freedom isn't something granted by the world. It's something built inside the heart, piece by piece, breath by breath, moment by moment. You look down into the valley of your journey and begin to recall the path that brought you here. You learned mindfulness, the art of being present without forcing anything. You learned right action and right speech, shaping the world gently around you. You learned compassion, beginning first with yourself, then letting it expand outward. You learned patience, a slowing, a softening, a trust in your own pace. You learned letting go, the release of the fist you didn't know you were making. You learned equanimity, staying steady in the shifting tides of life. You learned resilience, bending without breaking. You learned harmony, the truth that you are connected to all beings. You learned wisdom, the quiet flame that lights the next step. You learned peace, the still lake beneath every thought. You learned non-self, the freedom of not being trapped in a single identity. You learned impermanence, the beauty of moments that rise and fall like clouds. And finally, you learned that awakening is not a destination, but an unfolding, a gentle opening of the heart toward truth. As you let these reflections settle, you feel something deepen inside you. Inner freedom isn't the absence of difficulty. It's the ability to meet difficulty without losing yourself. It's the ability to breathe through change, to hold your heart with compassion, to understand your mind without fear, to see the world without clinging or resisting. Inner freedom means you are no longer pushed around by every emotion, no longer tangled in every thought, no longer trapped in old stories. You can feel deeply without drowning. You can think clearly without getting lost. You can love without fear of breaking. You sit down on a flat stone and let the dawn breeze brush your face. The world is beginning to glow, warm, soft, alive. You feel that same glow inside your chest, as if your inner world is waking at the same pace as the horizon. The Buddha taught that the final steps toward inner freedom involve integrating everything you've learned, weaving the teachings into your everyday life, not as tasks or rules, but as natural ways of being. When you breathe with awareness, you're practicing freedom. When you choose kindness over harshness, you're practicing freedom. When you release old stories, you're practicing freedom. When you sit with your emotions instead of fighting them, you're practicing freedom. When you move gently, speak softly, think clearly, you're practicing freedom. It all counts. It all matters. You place a hand over your chest, feeling the warmth beneath your skin. This warmth is the heart unburdening itself. This is the freedom the Buddha meant. Not the kind you chase, but the kind that grows naturally when you stop battling yourself. You look out across the path that has carried you here and sense that you're almost at the final turning. The night's teachings have woven themselves into one truth that hums gently inside you. You are capable of peace. You are capable of clarity. You are capable of letting go. You are capable of compassion. You are capable of awakening, not perfectly, not instantly, but steadily, breath by breath, moment by moment. The first rays of dawn touch the edge of the world, turning the sky a soft rose gold. The clearing ahead begins to glow with a warm, welcoming light, inviting you toward the final chapter. A gentle closing, a deep rest, a peaceful return. As the first touch of sunlight warms the edge of the world, you feel the journey settling inside you, not as a series of lessons, but as a quiet truth that lives in your breath now. The night has guided you through wisdom, compassion, softness, clarity. And now, the dawn invites you to rest in what you've become. The path ahead glows with morning light, slow and golden. This is where the Buddha brings you home, to rest, not in a place, but in yourself. The final stretch of the path opens onto a gentle hillside warmed by early sunlight. The grass glitters with dew, tiny droplets catching the light like 1,000 small jewels. The world is quiet in a different way now. Not the stillness of night, but the soft hush of morning before the day begins. You walk slowly, feeling each step settle deeply in your body, like the earth is welcoming you back after a long journey. At the top of the hill sits a broad, smooth stone, warmed by the first rays of the sun. You sit upon it, letting the warmth seep into your legs, your back, your chest. This is where your journey rests, not in a dramatic ending, but in gentle understanding. The Buddha taught that the path is not something you finish. It's something you return to, again and again. And now, sitting here, you realize you've been returning to it all along. With every breath, every softening, every step toward clarity. You close your eyes and feel the morning breeze move through your hair. Your breath rises and falls with a steadiness that wasn't there before. Your heart feels calmer. Your mind feels clearer. Your whole being feels softer, grounded, open. This is the rest that comes after awakening has begun to unfold. Not exhaustion, not collapse, but a peaceful settling, like water coming to stillness after a long, gentle ripple. You begin to revisit each teaching, but this time not as lessons to master, as parts of yourself. Mindfulness now feels like a natural breath, not an effort. Compassion rises easily, the way warmth spreads from a flame. Patience lives quietly in your bones, slowing your pace to something gentle and human. Letting go feels less like loss and more like soft release. Wisdom glows within you, steady as the dawn. Equanimity rests like a calm lake deep inside your chest. Resilience bends within you like bamboo, steady but never rigid. Contentment hums in your breath, simple and warm. Harmony feels like being part of something vast yet intimate. Non-self brings freedom. Impermanence brings peace. Gratitude brings warmth. Awakening brings clarity. You let these truths settle without needing to hold on to them. They're part of you now. The Buddha taught that rest is not the opposite of the path. It is the path once wisdom settles. When the mind is no longer fighting itself, rest becomes the natural state of being. You stretch your legs out and lie back on the warm stone, looking up at the early sky. The first real sunlight spills across the horizon, painting the clouds with soft gold and pale pink. Birds begin their morning calls, each one a small blessing carried on the breeze. Your breath synchronizes with the gentle rhythm of the world waking around you. In this final teaching, the Buddha invites you to recognize that everything you sought was already within you. Peace, clarity, compassion, resilience, wisdom. You didn't have to chase them. You only had to clear the space for them to rise. Resting here, you realize something quietly profound. You are enough. You have always been enough. Even in moments of confusion, you were on the path. Even in moments of fear, you were moving toward clarity. Even in moments of pain, your heart was learning how to open. You turn your head slightly and see the long path you walk through the night, winding through forests, valleys, meadows, glades. It looks peaceful now, simple, beautiful. A reminder that every part of your journey mattered. Even the difficult steps softened something inside you. Even the slow steps brought you forward. The Buddha's path doesn't end. It becomes a rhythm inside your life, a gentle guide, a soft voice, a steady hand. You close your eyes again and let your body sink deeper into the stone's warmth. Let your breath rise and fall. Let your mind rest. Let your heart stay open. Morning light spreads across your skin, soothing and clean. Peace hums quietly inside you, steady as your own heartbeat. You feel yourself drifting toward rest. Not sleep alone, but a deep inner stillness. The kind you can return to any time, with a single breath. The kind the Buddha meant when he spoke of refuge within. You take one last slow breath, feeling the entire journey settle into its rightful place within you. The night carried you. The teachings changed you. The dawn welcomes the new you. And now you rest. Not because the journey is over, but because you've finally come home to yourself.